Excellent. Thank you, John. Okay, then we'll call the meeting to order. This is our one of two member representative meetings. So we have a lot on the agenda and we'll try to get you guys out of here on time. At this time, I'll go ahead and since John has confirmed quorum, rather than reviewing the agenda because there's a lot on it, I'm going to go ahead and go right into public opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. That would be the time right now.
Hi, good morning. This is David Kane at the Western Center on Law and Poverty.
Thank you, David.
Just want to briefly alert you all to an urgent issue we've been noticing in the community concerning Benefits Cal. People are going to Benefits Cal to do their Medi-Cal annual renewals during this critical time. They're working with community-based organizations. They show up, they need to do their renewal that day when they're there. That's the only time they can do it. The CBOs are helping them sign up for Benefits Cal accounts, but they can't see their renewals when they get their account activated. You all added a message that says you can come back within 24 to 48 hours to do your renewal. That doesn't work for these people. It's a limited window when they can do their renewal with the assistance of a CBO. They need to have their renewal in Benefits Cal when they create their account. The workaround that they are trying is when they have a paper renewal form, they scan it, they upload it to Benefits Cal. These people have received 10-day termination notices this month. So that also is not a good option for them. So we're asking for an opportunity to work with the project to come up with some sort of solution here. We still have time, renewals go on forever, and we'd like to make this better. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jennifer Tracy from the Advocates Group. I just want to piggyback on David's comment to share that the other issue we're seeing is that when people upload their renewal, it doesn't lead to the automatic pause in terminations the way that being able to fill out the digital form online would. And so that's another issue that we would like to have addressed is if anybody uploads anything to their case, that it automatically pauses their termination so the worker has time to review those materials before they receive that notice. As David mentioned, this is an urgent issue as people across the country are losing their health care. Millions of people are being impacted. So we wanted to raise it directly to the group today because we know that the counties care about making sure people can maintain their health care.
Thank you, Jennifer. We certainly do. So we will dig into that as well. Any other public speakers?
And Michael, we will follow up directly with David and Jennifer on that offline.
Thank you very much, John. Okay, then hearing no others, we'll go ahead and jump into the next part of the agenda. John, does you take us into that?
Absolutely. And let's go to our next slide. Our first one, and for those of you that have been around for a few years, this is our annual board elections and our project steering committee elections. I want to thank all of our CalSAWS regions for creating a slate and going through and making sure that we have members on both the project steering committee and the JPA board slate. What I want to do is be able to review who you have all nominated for that slate and go through that. And for both PSC and JPA. And then after we do that, I am going to be calling, we're going to be calling for nominations from the floor. If you're going with the slate, you don't need to nominate anybody from the floor. You're just going with the slate. I would like to move both slates for PSC and JPA simultaneously, so we only have to take one roll call vote as we go through that. As I go through the roll call vote, I'm going to go region by region. I'm going to be saying who we have in attendance. And then at the end, if a director has logged in since we've taken attendance and things like that, Afterwards, I'll say, Region 1, is there any other directors that have logged in so that we could also log your attendance and your vote as we go through that? Okay. As you can see from the slide, previous slide, this is really referencing our JPA agreement and the sections that create our governance process, who is eligible for the governance process. And then we have created a nomination slate, and this is for the upcoming fiscal year. Let's go. So for Region 1, Marla Stewart and Kelly Curtis have been nominated to represent Region 1. And I think it's a cool thing that we do as we go through there. It's really impressive the number of years that our directors have with experience in SAWs in the county. So we just do that for reference as we go through. On Region 2, Greg's been nominated, and he has been a very active member as an alternate on the JPA board as well. So thank you, Greg. Region 3, Becky has agreed to continue and represent Region 3. Region 4, Chris Woods has agreed to continue, and Francina from Tulare County, who's here in the room with us, has also agreed to serve on the JPA board. So next. Region 5, On has agreed to continue, as well as Gilbert. And Paula, our new director in Imperial County, has also agreed to serve on the JPA board. Region 6 appoints its members, and a new member, Kristen Stranger, has been appointed, as well as Michael continuing, and Cynthia McCoy Miller continuing to represent DCFS from Los Angeles County. This is the slide that shows the where the authority is for the nominations for Project Steering Committee for the upcoming fiscal year. And for Region 1, Anna Pineda, Larissa Simon, both continuing in their role as PSC members. Region 2, continuing, Edward Amenero, also continuing. Region 3, Rachel is continuing to serve on the JPA board, on the PSC. The next one, Cindy Utes and Cecilia. Cecilia is a new member from Merced County. We welcome her, as well as Cindy is continuing. Region 5, Elaine Martinez continuing, Alberto Bemuelos, who's also continuing, as well as Sandra Bolin, who's also continuing to represent Region 5. Region 6, LaShonda Diggs, Winna Critchlow, and Olga, who is a new member to the Project Steering Committee, has been appointed for the Project Steering Committee. All right, at this point, I'll open it up if anybody wants to make any other nominations other than the slate that's been presented. So Michael, I think this is where we open it up to the floor.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Do we have is this where we can make a motion to approve the slate or approve the nominations?
I think so. I think it's making the motion to approve both slates at the same time, and then public comment, then we'll go to a vote.
Do we have a motion from any of the board members?
So moved. I'll make a motion to approve both slates at the same time as presented.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
I think it was on.
Yeah,
Right.
sound like on.
Very good. So thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Michael. I think we open it up for any public comment at this time prior to moving to a vote.
Yes, thanks, John, for that protocol. Any public comment before we extend to a vote on the members here? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward with the membership taking roll call on the vote.
All right, thanks, Michael. Again, we will go region by region with the folks that we have logged in, and then after I complete the region, I will see if there's any other directors that have joined us. So we'll start off with Region 1. Marla, do you approve?
Yes.
Good. San Benito, Tracy, do you approve?
Yes.
You. San Mateo, Ken, do you approve?
Approved.
So much. Solano, Kelly, do you approve?
Yes.
Very good. Any other directors from Region 1 that have logged in and would like to log their attendance and vote?
Hey, John, this is Angela Shing from Santa Clara, and I say yay.
Very good. Thank you, Angela.
Hey, John, it's Trent Rohr from San Francisco. I say yay as well.
Thanks, Trent. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to Region 2. Amador. Ann, do you approve?
Yes.
So much. Nevada, Rachel, you already made the motion.
Yes.
Placer, Greg?
Yes.
Very good. Sacramento, Ethan?
Yes.
Very good. Sutter, David?
Yes.
Right. Any other Region 2 directors that have logged on and want to cast their vote?
Rebecca Spino, Tuolumne County, yes.
Thank you, Rebecca.
This is Sua from YOLO, and that's yes.
Thank you, Sue. All right, Region 3. Butte, Shelby.
Yes.
Thank you, Shelby. Calusa, Elizabeth.
Yes.
You, Del Norte, Renell.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Lake, Crystal.
Yes.
Good. Lansing County, Laura.
Yes. Thank you.
Laura. Mendocino, Becky.
Yes.
Good. Trinity, Liz.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Any other Region 3 directors?
Good morning. This is Bill Watson from Glenn, and that's a yes.
Thank you, Bill.
This is Connie Beck from Humboldt, and I say yes.
Thank you, Connie.
John, there is a comment in the chat from Laura Hawkins as well on Trinity.
Thank you, Laura. Very good. We'll move on to Region 4. Kern County, Lido.
Hi, John. Yes.
Thank you so much. Merced, Ivania.
Yes.
You. San Luis Obispo, Devin.
Yes.
You. Larry, Francina.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other directors from Region 4?
This is Joe Lynch from Mariposa. We're yes as well.
Thanks, Joe.
This is Christine Heber from Stanislaus, and it's a yes.
Thank you so much. Right, moving on to Region 5. Imperial, Paula.
Yes.
Thank you, Paula. Orange, on.
Yes.
You, San Bernardino, Gilbert. Yes. Very good. San Diego, Rick.
Yes.
You, Santa Barbara, Daniel.
Yes.
Thank you. Ventura, Melissa.
Yes.
Very good. And I don't think Riverside is checked in, but we have almost all the counties. Anybody? Sarah, are you on? All right, moving on to LA County. Michael.
Yes.
Good. And Cynthia.
Yes.
Very good. I don't think Roxana was able to join us today. So moved. Good work. We made it through that pretty painlessly. All right. Now we are going to move on, and this is an informational item. Adam Dondro from OSI, who is joining us here in the room in Rancho Cordova, has once again been appointed by the administration to serve as our ex officio representative. So thank you, Adam, for agreeing to join the JPA board once again. All right, now we're going to go on to, this is just for our board members, our current sitting board members, not our future board members, our current sitting board members, to go through a few items. The first item on the slate is for nominations for JPA Board Chair and Vice Chair for the upcoming fiscal year. So Michael, this is open for board consideration or a motion, or hopefully creating a slate first of all.
Okay, do we have any nominations for chair and vice chair?
Michael, this is Becky. If you are willing, I would like to nominate you to continue as our JPA chair and Marla Stewart as our vice chair, and I hope that you will both accept.
Thank you. I do.
This is Cynthia, and I would like to second for Michael as well.
Any other nominations? Okay, John.
So Michael, I've heard, is the slate for you and Marla to continue as chair and vice chair that's been moved so far?
Yes, I believe that's been moved.
Yes, that was my motion or
Yes.
my nomination.
Very good.
I second that. This is Rachel in Region 2.
Thank you, Rachel.
Very good. All right. I think we got to do public comment, then the vote, Michael.
So any public comment before we go ahead and vote on the chair and vice chair positions? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward with the vote, John.
All right. Marla?
Yes, and thank you, everybody.
Tracy?
Yes.
Thank you. And Rich made a motion, Becky second. All right. I don't think Deborah Martinez, are you on? All right, Chris? Woods? Not on. Gilbert? Yes. Very good. Seori, is it on? On, do you approve?
Yes.
Good. Michael?
Yes, and thank you to everyone.
Rosanna is on, and Cynthia?
Yes, for both of them.
Very good. Thank you so much. And thank you both, Michael and Marla. I appreciated your support this last fiscal year and look forward to an upcoming fiscal year when we truly become one. All right. The next item that is open for board consideration is a presentation of the 23-24 budget. So I'm going to turn it over to Holly.
Thanks, John. So as John mentioned, every year we do put together the annual JPA project budget. The references on this slide are per our JPA agreement, our bylaws, our MOU. These all refer to the adoption of an annual budget. So part of the budget includes our administrative costs. That's our JPA administrative budget that was approved last January by the member representatives as required by the MOU. Our next slide includes our categories that this budget includes. So in addition to the JPA administrative budget, we include our baseline advanced planning documents. That's for CalSAWS and CalWIN. We include our county purchases. And for CalWIN, we call those county directs or separate services. And these are included because those transactions run through in our process by our JPA's fiscal agent. We also include all our premise items for the various policy changes that are above and beyond. Our next slide includes the budget totals by funding source. Each premise item is listed separately, along with the baseline budgets and the county purchase projections. And this aligns to the May revise. So some of the amounts are subject to change as we finalize our advanced planning documents for the scope of the costs that are applicable to CalSAWS for the various premise items. As those policies get finalized, we see some changes. For example, the CFAP amount includes non-CalSAWS funding. So we'll be working with the state to delineate those costs and work through those details. And then should changes occur if needed during the upcoming state fiscal year, those take place. We handle those through board actions. So the total amount here is 542 million. Last year was 550, just over 558 million. And so partway through this year, our D&I costs come to conclusion. So that's why we that. I will pass it back to Michael to see if there's any questions.
So do we have any deficit areas?
No, the May revise included all the funding that we expected.
Hey, Michael, that's good news. We know that we've had conversations at board meetings and things like that, as we were sort of rebaselining and scaling and everything that, especially with the increased caseload that the counties have experienced and how we've been going through that. We did have some increases that were asked for in our IAPDU and in the May revise. We thank the administration, we thank OSI for representing us and getting that through the process. As you guys have been tracking, the budget, the state budget is all but approved. We did receive federal approval on our IAPDU and walk through that. So definitely appreciate Adam and his staff sort of working that through. And it is what we expected as we've gone through and what we've wound up requesting and getting through this process. So we are whole. There is no deficits on this budget as we go through that.
Great. Thanks for that additional context, John. I think it's really important to see that our programs and our automation behind the programs is receiving strong support from the state and federal level. Much appreciated. Any questions or comments from our board members or our state partners on the budget presentation?
Michael, I have one question in the room here. I can see a line item for reimbursement for food benefit theft automation. So is there any context behind that line in regards to, is this so there's like more automation to that process that we're aware of, or is it so that we can work with the chip machines, or do we know what that's about more so?
I will look to our policy design and governance team to see if they can provide some additional information, maybe Karen or Michelle.
And Gilbert, as that's placed into the budget, we will be doing change notices and bringing them through with detail. Usually what happens is the administration, as there's some pending legislation, will come through and get premise dollars for those based on an estimate. Those estimates will then turn into a change notice that we'll bring forward to the board. I don't know, Karen, Lisa, do you guys have any context on that estimate that we provided and what's come into the budget?
John, this is Michelle. I was just going to say we haven't received any additional information on this item other than, when we submitted the estimate, but haven't received any additional information on, where it's moving and when we will likely take this on.
Hey, Michelle, do you remember just off the top of your head what the scope is? Because I think that's what Gilbert's asking for. Just an overview of the scope and what we can expect. We can also take an action item and loop back around later on in the meeting or in writing. But do you remember the scope of that?
If I could have a little bit of time, I can look that up and then circle back.
Okay, we'll do that. And if you could post it into the chat, that would be great.
Yep, will do. Thank you.
Thanks, John and Gilbert. Good question. I'm assuming that it has to do with, there was the chip technologies coming in the future, but also there was some legislative adjustments or regulatory adjustments on requirements associated with replenishments, and it's probably capturing some of that as well, because that will have some kind of an automated impact. But we'll go ahead and defer to the team to come back on that one. Any other questions or comments on any of the line items in the budget that you're seeing on the screen here?
Hey, Michael, this on. I do have a question.
Yes.
For the foster care eligibility determination interface, is that in alignment with what CWC Cares is doing?
Great question.
Absolutely it is. That's an estimate that's based on sort of collaboration we've done with CARES on what their scope of work is and what their timeline that they're now starting to share is. And state of California has made the determination that foster care eligibility reside in CalSAWS statewide. And this is to create an API, triggers all of the necessary reporting from the child welfare system to SAWS and back and forth, and having that automated interaction between the systems. So as we go through this fiscal year, we are going to be going into design activities, development activities, and those types of things. So that is to fully fund that collaboration with CARES.
And John, I'm assuming there's going to be a good communication plan put together around that, because as things start to change in CalSAWS, there may be things on the care side that are happening sort of on their own track, that everybody will be aware of the eligibility calculation changes and what comes forward. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a pretty complex and intricate interface between the two systems, and it is going to require really good communication. Those things are kicking off and starting to mature, and they have to continue to mature, but you're spot on. We're going to have good communication and change management on both sides, because it can really impact that interface, as you well know. I think this is going to be every bit as complex as the SAWS CalHERS interface that we have, that we know has taken us a long time to be able to mature, but is now working well.
Okay, great. So I think we're going to have more presentations on this as we move forward, as we get more of it defined. Thank you for that question. Any other questions or comments on any other line items in the budget presentation? Okay, then hearing none, any public comment? Okay, moving forward. Thank you, Holly. Appreciate the update, and I'm glad, John, that we're continuing to get strong support on the funding side.
So, Michael, I think somebody has to move this in a second, and then we can start the vote.
Okay, this is a vote item. Okay, so I go ahead and I'll move this forward.
This is on. I'll second.
Much. Marla, do you approve?
Yes.
And Tracy?
Yes.
Good. Rachel?
Yes.
You, Becky?
Yes.
You, Gilbert?
Yes.
Thank you. Made the second, Michael made the motion, and Cynthia.
Yes.
So much. So moved. All right, we do have a couple of items on the consent calendar. Our board meeting from May 12th. On the last page is the agenda items. Most of the items are on the agenda today. We'll be speaking to those items that are ongoing. There was one for Chasney to talk about the virtual assistants. You'll be getting a demonstration and some information on that today. And then there was one for Karen Rapinati to provide a schedule related to text message calendar and information on how it works. There was a spreadsheet that was also included in the posting that is showing all of the message names, what the message actually is, the target population, the run date, the program that has been posted. It is a 5-page spreadsheet that provides specific information on that. Karen, is there anything else that you want to add to that?
Nope, that covered it. That covered it.
All right, appreciate you getting that out, Karen, for everybody to take a look at.
Sure.
So that is the minutes that are there for board consideration. We do have 2 change orders, both with Deloitte. One is for Benefits Cal, The other one for the implementation support services for migration. Neither one of these changes impact the total contract value. It is really an administrative adjustment. Sometimes we do these administrative adjustments as we could have some pay points that we can take advantage of some current year funding and split deliverables and deliverable timing. So we fully take advantage of our current year budget, and then we look to next fiscal year, and we have to be able to look at modifying some deliverable dates and some pay points to be able to do that and line those things up with the contract. That's mainly what these things are about. But again, there's no new money, no new scope. It's an administrative adjustment for due dates and splitting deliverables between fiscal years. So with that, Michael, the consent calendar is open for board consideration, public comment.
Thank you, John. So on the two change orders, go ahead.
Michael, I made a mistake too. I did not go to the last consent item. And this last consent item is San Bernardino Auditor Controller, Treasurer and Tax Collector requires us, now that we have elected a new board, to be able to have signature authorization, to be able to say who can sign off on invoices, contracts, and the like. So you have a list of individuals that we want the board to consider putting on, approving the signature authorization. So that is our chair and our vice chair, Michael and Marla, myself as a JPA secretary, Holly as our PMO director, Laura Chavez as our technical director, Tom Hartman as our section director over common services and procurement, Diane Alexander for our Cal Win as we close that out. And then from San Bernardino requires an executive within the county to be able to have that authority as well. And our JPA board member's boss, Diana Alexander, is that individual. So the other item is approving these signature authorization forms.
Okay. All right, John, just a quick question about the two change orders. So those two change orders you said don't affect the contract amounts, and as part of our maximizing revenue within the fiscal years, totally understand that. Just want to make sure that the way you guys are splitting them still ensures accountability with the vendors on delivery, and that it doesn't jeopardize that in any way.
Absolutely, and that's why we don't have full pay points. We're just splitting those and retaining pay points into the fiscal year for which the services were delivered and developed. So it does not reduce the authority of the JPA whatsoever.
Great, thanks for that clarification. Then on the last item, in terms of the signature authorities, there's also a hierarchy in there so that way it goes to an individual when needed, right? Not that.
Absolutely. It's only when needed. Most of the signatures are from the chair, as well as myself as the project director and a JPA secretary, and then Diana within the county as we go through that. I see On has his hand up.
Yes, On.
Hi, this is a question. I'm still learning about a lot of this, so I apologize if this is an elementary question. But one of the assumptions that was made on the document is that it says that the solution does not include a mobile app, but the deliverables in the schedule will be used to track approval of mobile responsive features for the statewide portal. What does that mean? Is that to track the responsiveness of Benefits Cal? I just want to make sure I'm clear on the understanding of that.
Great question. On as we went through and had requirements and in legacy portals, there was both a website as well as a mobile app that you needed to download from the App Store. Modern technology, as we went through and started partnering with Deloitte, was not to have a separate mobile app that somebody had to download, but making the web page mobile responsive, coding it in that way. So that was a more user-friendly and more modern approach to take to the for the development of Benefits Cal. So any requirements associated with a mobile app, we forego those requirements, but the responsiveness for somebody interacting with our portal from a mobile device still stay intact. The technology that we first envisioned years ago of having a mobile app is not necessary. It's a mobile responsive web page that has to meet all of those requirements. And Rachel, anything else that you would add to that?
You covered it.
Very good. Did that cover it on?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Don. Great question. Any other questions or comments from our other board members or our state partners on the slate of consent items? Okay, hearing none. Any public comment on them? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and put it up for a vote. To I'll move the slate for approval.
This is Becky. I'll second.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Becky. All right, Marla, do you approve?
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
thank you, On,
Yes.
you, and Cynthia.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, so moved. All right, that brings us to our informational items. And Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to Holly for the CalSAWS annual audit summary.
Thanks, John. So this first slide includes our references in the JPA agreement related to the audit. We do select an auditor through a procurement process that's conducted by San Bernardino. Our current contract with IDU just concluded with this last audit, which was applicable to the state fiscal year 21-22 year. As a heads up, San Bernardino is currently going through the procurement process for new contract service. We expect to bring that contract to the board in the near future. So the scope of those contracts, this last contract and in the future contract, are that the auditor reviews our financial statements, they conduct field visits if necessary, they request various sample claim information, they talk to staff, they interview staff, my staff, or the board chair. So they do a number of things to look through all of our records. And then on the next slide, you'll see a summary of our results. And again, this audit covers the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. And there were no findings of non-compliance. All financials were presented fairly, so no recommendations were made. And these documents have been posted to calsaws.org. They were also issued via CIT 0141-23. And then on calsaws.org, you can find those in the public information section.
And I think this is an important point that Holly made at the end of the posting and making these public. If there's any county auditor controller that says, how is the CalSAWS JPA being audited, or they feel the need to be able to do their own audit, this audit should suffice. And they have that documentation. And again, we work with the San Bernardino auditor controller as our lead auditor controller. Should there be any questions, we can sort of work through those through our PMO and if necessary, San Bernardino County. All right, Michael, I think that ends this agenda item.
All right, thank you. I think audits like this are incredibly important to projects, especially projects that have this much responsibility and financial obligations. So truly appreciate this very transparent and thorough process. Are there any questions or comments from our board members or state partners on this presentation? Okay, hearing none. Any public comment? Okay, once again, thank you, Holly, for your presentation. We'll go ahead and move on to the next. Thanks, John.
Very good, Michael. The next one that we wanted to put right up front. We know it's been a very long time since we've had 2 production outages that have impacted our end users, our counties, in a very long time. We know that also just yesterday, we got approval to go forward with our wave 4 counties. We wanted to make sure that right up front, we talk about the incidents that we've had in June, what has gone on, what we're doing to remediate that, because we always come to these meetings and say production is our priority. We mean that. Sometimes things happen, but we need to remediate those. So we had a fantastic May production. And then as we came into June, we had a couple incidents. So I've asked Arnold to come on right up front and to walk through what we experienced in the month of June with those outages. So Arnold, are you there?
I am here. All right, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And I apologize for not being there in person. Unfortunately, I'm on a little bit of a travel restriction and hope to be back in person next month. So with that, I will go ahead and start talking about our overall production stability for June. And as John alluded to, it's been a long time since we've had this many outages that have been this impactful. And our plan is to make sure that it's a very long time before it ever happens again. So up front, I want to apologize to the counties and for the impact that we had. These did occur during prime time, and we made every effort to restore service as we could. But we've also taken the point to take a step back and understand how we can do it better, because this is part of it, or part of the response process is getting the services back up during that event. And then it's doing the retrospective to say, how can we avoid it and how can we be better as we go forward? So the first one had to do on June 7th. And what we saw was that starting at 12:19 p.m., the CalSAWS application experienced an issue that resulted ultimately in longer response times and impacted ability to log in, and ultimately got to the point to where new logins weren't being accepted. So the county workers were unable to log into the CalSAWS, Benefits Cal from the public perspective contact center starting at that 12:19. We restarted our database server and we restored our service at 2 o'clock. The overall impact was 1 hour and 41 minutes. And then we monitored the system through the course of the rest of the afternoon. The same issue reoccurred in the evening on 6/7. So that evening, at that point, we did make a decision to fail over to our standby server or standby database server, and we did so. And we continue to run our batch processes in the background as we were doing the failover. We did identify what the root cause was, and we did remediate that root cause in all of our environments. It had to do with the fact that the database produces logs of every login that's there, and there's a lot of those files. And what we ran into was an upper limit as to how many of those files could be stored in a certain directory. And when that limit was reached, that's when it wasn't able to, in a timely way, write new files. And therefore, that's what it stopped accepting new logins. So we have re-architected that back end of how we handle those files. And we are well below that threshold now, using a daily cleanup process to move the files out into the permanent storage location. So those changes were implemented across our production and non-production environments. And then on Sunday the 18th, we did fail back to the primary database. So we are currently running on our primary database at this point in time. If we move on to the next slide, So this occurred on Tuesday, the 20th. And what we encountered was an issue with CalSAWS ForgeRock. So ForgeRock is where the identity, and e.g. the usernames and passwords are stored across for all the applications in the CalSAWS ecosystem. So that includes CalSAWS, Benefits Cal, Contact Center, Imaging, OCAT, PRT, Training, LMS, and all the production services. So at 10:55 a.m., we saw a impending slowdown within the ForgeRock application to the point that it stopped accepting new requests, which then ultimately stopped the logins and responses. We did move the ForgeRock services over to our alternate site at 12:41. But there was still an hour and 46 minutes of impact that was felt by the county workers at that time. We did complete our root cause analysis and understand what happened with that. It has to do with the fact that there's a page called our delegated admin page. And there were in that page, there is an ability to run queries. And some of the queries were causing what's called an unbounded search, a table scan. And from that perspective, there was a large number of those queries that were submitted in a short period of time, and that caused a backup within ForgeRock to process those queries. In resolving it, we're actually working with the ForgeRock vendor to re-architect that page to restrict the ability to do those unbounded queries. And we also sent a communication to our delegated admins around best practices on how to structure their data searches. So we are still working with ForgeRock and we'll be implementing additional controls in the upcoming weeks to permanently fix this issue to keep from reoccurring as we go forward. So if we move on to the next one. So on Thursday, the 23rd, CalSAWS encountered a cyber attack. It was a denial of service, a DOS attack that started at around 6 p.m. on Thursday. It did impact CalSAWS as well as Benefits Cal, but Benefits Cal was more of the victim in the fact that since it was causing a slowdown in the ForgeRock side, that is what Benefits Cal also encountered. Now, Benefits Cal did have scheduled maintenance at 8 p.m. on Thursday, so Benefits Cal went down as planned at 8 p.m. for their scheduled maintenance, but they remained down longer until we could make the necessary changes to block the DOS attack. When we were going through the analysis of the attack, we were taking additional steps to stop it. Those steps did result in ForgeRock services becoming unavailable at 9:30 Pacific Daylight Time, which caused an unscheduled outage for the applications. All the applications were brought up at 11:34. The overall duration of that outage was 2 hours and 4 minutes. The good news about that was the silver lining was the fact that it did occur after prime time when the call centers were already closed. So the end user impact to the county workers was limited because the system was up and available by start of business on Friday morning. As we were going through the recovery process on that cyber attack, there were roughly 4,611 Benefits Cal accounts. That took us an additional 24 hours to restore. No data was lost in the attack front, meaning there wasn't a breach. All the data is safe and contained with the systems. The system integrity was maintained. But in our recovery process on ForgeRock, we did have to do a restore of data for those Benefits Cal accounts. And we did take longer on those 4,611. And those were those accounts that were created within roughly the 24-hour period before the attack. So as far as the remediation that has been completed, we analyzed the attack patterns, and additional changes were made to our network topology in ForgeRock to limit the effects of those attacks, because those attacks are more frequent. We're seeing as cyber activity continues to increase. And our remaining actions are, we are working with ForgeRock and our AWS partners to understand additional layers of defense that we can put within the overall CalSOS ecosystem to mitigate the attacks that are occurring. And so we can not incur the service disruption that did occur on the 23rd. So that is the summary of the 3 production issues. Michael, I'll turn it back to you for any questions.
Arnold, just one thing to, for folks that aren't familiar with the DOS attack, there was no breach of data. The attempt was really to sort of scan the system for weaknesses. It was stopped, batch that night, completed on time, and the attack was we were protected as we went forward. We're looking at, as Arnold said, strengthening, but there was no breach. We have also coordinated and have talked with our state partners and security experts. With our state partners, this did not meet the threshold of actually reporting these items. These things happen quite often, but we do want to coordinate so that we're all aware of the attack that we had and then how we are preventing it moving forward.
All right, thank you, Arnold, John. On the cyber attack side, it looks like some of the things that we had in place actually worked in terms of being able to entrap it and mitigate the impact to the counties from a performance standpoint and system availability standpoint. So I'm really happy to hear that. But we're a big target. We're going to become a bigger and bigger target. So I think we can't rest on that and need to continue to kind of press forward on what kind of preventative things we can do and setting our entrapments a little bit further back. So I'm kind of interested to see what we learned out of this and what adjustments we might make. On the outages side, I think that's also an opportunity for us just to continue to look at with a system this large, how impactful the outages are, which I know that you appreciate because you guys have been in constant communication with us on that. But just how complicated it is to manage that. We've talked about scalability of the system in here, and the elements of where things might hit thresholds seems to be not maybe infinite, but it seems to be a lot of different things that need to be checked. And I don't know if we have an opportunity for maybe some kind of, John, as part of our QA process, maybe putting something in there very technically specific to diving into where thresholds are and this, because we have various software packages that may have thresholds, just doing a threshold search across all of them and looking for all of them to find out where we're at and advising, because I'm glad that Accenture is taking it seriously and diving in, but it would be really good to have an independent look at that on a frequent basis, because the system's going to continue to grow and probably be the largest system for quite a while that anybody's ever operated on. And we're bound to hit other thresholds going forward. So as much as we can be proactive on that, I think the better. Outside of that, I want to go ahead and open it up to any other directors or board members, questions or comments on this update that Arnold just provided us, or our state partners.
Hi, Michael. This is Marla.
Thanks, Marla.
Hi, Arnold. Really appreciate this report and really appreciate how seriously the project is taking both the outages and the cyber attack. And just to say publicly, I know that you very much appreciate this, but I do want to just acknowledge this publicly. CalSOS is the tool for everything we do in our public assistance. And when we have an outage, even an outage of like an hour and 40 minutes, pretty much in my county anyways, things come to a screeching halt. There's really not anything that workers can do when they don't have access. And so just want to kind of piggyback on what Michael's saying. It's a gigantic system and it's just so critical to our work, and any time down at all is really slowing down our ability to serve our community in a timely way, results in overtime for us to kind of catch up and make up that time. So do appreciate how seriously you're taking it, really do. And just, I can't speak quite as technically as Michael did, but do just encourage continued work to get ahead of, you know, outages and having ourselves continually prepared as it continues to grow.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Marla.
Marla.
One more point on Marla's that I'd like to piggyback on is, and maybe you guys can speak to this now or come back, is the decision point, because there's always a decision point based on when do we roll back or fail over versus troubleshoot and try to stand up, right? I mean, you guys are having to make that decision. Just what we might have learned a little bit out of this and any adjustments we might be able to be making there with the focus on reducing the impact to client services and users' ability to access the system. Because as Marla said, we've become completely dependent on this. And when we're completely dependent on something, then there's the threshold for tolerance on not having it up is very, very small. So when we decide to roll over, to roll back, how long that might take versus how long it takes to troubleshoot, I think that's going to constantly need to be something that gets refined and refined and refined to reduce the impact on the business.
Yes, agreed. And that's where, as part of the RCAs, we're looking at that, because in a couple of these, we could have made the call earlier to go to the alternate sites. There's always that balance of trying to understand what's actually causing it, because if you fail over to your alternate site, well, you see a reoccurrence. But I think that you're absolutely right. That's what we are looking at from our procedure perspective on executing that failover, with just the emphasis on get the services up as fast as possible to minimize the impact to the counties. Because we absolutely recognize that these services that encounter these issues are the heart of integrated eligibility for the state of California, and that there's over 20,000 workers, soon to be much more after 4B this weekend, that are impacted and unable to do their jobs without it. So yes, absolutely. We are looking at how we can drive more automation for a quicker rollover and response time, as well as additionally looking at what else can we put in place to interrupt the failure chain to stop the outage from occurring in the first place.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully in a future meeting, maybe we can come back and look at some of the process improvements that are around that, and maybe that independent assessment piece, John, too, where we might be weaving some of that in. Any other? Oh, go ahead, John.
Second action item.
Thank you.
You may do sort of a configuration management sort of threshold review, and we'll put it on a future agenda item. So we'll put that on as an action item for our QA team to take a look at and report back on. And then the other thing, as we look at that, we know how impactful it is to the workers, and we'll come back on what is that tipping point on when you fail over or stand back up. I think that's a good item. Also, the outage on the 4,600 Benefit Cal user accounts, we're glad we were able to restore those, but it was impactful to the public and Benefits Cal. We also got some communications out to our advocate co-leads as we were going through this process, and trying to mature those processes for notifying the public. And we probably still need to mature those processes as we go forward with this.
Thanks for bringing that up, John. I appreciate it, because communications is king on this, and we can't let that lie. So I'm glad that that's also going to be a focus going forward. So anything we can learn out of this and improve, we want to make actionable. So thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and open up to other questions, comments of our board members, state partners.
Angela has her hand up, and then we'll go.
Angela, there you are. Thank you.
Hey there, thanks. Yeah, I just want to appreciate what everyone's saying here, and also I fully recognize how much the project really does take into account the feedback and the importance of this. So I definitely want to recognize that. I would just add one more emphasis, also the communication to the counties, advanced communication as much as possible. It just allows us the time to absorb and recognize and react And I recognize sometimes that's just not going to be possible, especially when there's things like a cyber attack, which I know this happened at the evening. But then we can, with this particular one, I think there was some impact to our call center, which that might not have been able to be proactively recognized. But anytime that we can anticipate that there might be an outage, we can then relook at our staffing or sort of shift for that. So just maybe looking at that also in terms of the protocols of how things are happening. Anytime that can be communicated proactively to the counties, that can just help in that partnership. So I just wanted to call that out too in terms of communication protocols. That would be extremely, extremely helpful. So just wanted to call that out as well.
Thank you, Angela. Yes, that one of the key challenges that we see on these outages is dimensioning what that impact is. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going down the path of, we may be less specific with those communications, but get them out earlier to say, we understand there's an issue, this is what we believe the impact is going to be, and continue to follow up with timely updates as we dimension the full outage, as well as look at what that recovery path and timeline look like.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Michael, I think Gilbert in the room had a comment as well.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on kind of piggybacking on what Michael had said about potential ways to prevent and mitigate these outages with like thresholds. Another thing that I know that I've experienced is certificates that expire. And so there might be another opportunity in QA to somehow just know certificate end dates or when those kinds of things are going to run out, because it just seems like it's a simple thing, but there's so many of them that it kind of gets lost. And it's like, well, it has to be more technical when it's something simple as a certificate or something that just is something that updates naturally or should have updated naturally, and we forget about it. And it's just something simple and we think it's more complex. So call out.
That's an excellent point. Certificate management's caught us in other jurisdictions where we have hosted environments as well. So that's a good one to include in that. Thank you, Gilbert.
Yes, Gilbert, and also look at the timing as when those certificates are updated. And so, avoid doing it during prime time.
Yeah.
So
thank you. Domain expirations. There's a lot that you guys can put on the list. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from our board members, state partners? Any public comment? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next item. Thank you, Arnold. I think that was a very fruitful discussion and we'll have a lot of positive takeaways from it.
Thank you.
Very good, Michael. That brings us to our next item. And, always as we're moving forward, always looking back to see what lessons learned, and be part of our DNA now is doing retrospectives. So we want Gretchen, if you could come on and sort of lead the team through the retrospectives that you've done.
Good morning, John. I'll just do a quick audio check, make sure that the volume's working. Thank you. Good morning. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Gretchen Williams. I'm with the ClearBest QA team. I'm the facilitator for the CalSAWS Migration Retrospectives. So I, along with my fellow presenters, are pleased to join you today to provide a brief Wave 3 retro update. So as we mentioned during our Wave 2 update in May, the project teams come together at the conclusion of each migration wave to reflect on the lessons learned and explore potential opportunities for refinement. So the presenters joining me today will be sharing specific outcomes from their retrospective areas based on what was learned through Wave 3 activities, and then the action taken to continuously improve the migration experience for counties in subsequent waves. The retrospective approach taken by the project by design is multifaceted, meaning that reflection is conducted through many lenses with input captured from different viewpoints. So as you'll see here, we start out first with sessions that are conducted with internal project teams to discuss observations and identify the potential refinement opportunities. There are also sessions that are conducted directly within each participating county to gain insight on their migration experience. And then most recently, a stakeholder retrospective was conducted on June 21st, which focused specifically on public-facing aspects of the CalSAWS migration. And as we shared during that session, input from that retrospective is being shared back with our internal project teams for consideration. So if we could move to the next slide. Thank you. The retrospective sessions consist of guided discussions where teams pause and reflect on what worked. We share observations and potential opportunities for improvement, and then we conclude with a brainstorm on recommended actions. There's two aspects that come from that discussion. Based on the complexity of the action identified, teams may be applying real-time adjustments. So the current participating county will be benefiting from that immediate adjustment, or based on an additional complexity potentially with that action being taken, the activity is being initiated and the future counties will be benefiting from that in subsequent waves. So we've also included a list of internal project sessions by topic here, simply to demonstrate the diversity of the areas that are covered. And as John mentioned, the commitment to the project, or excuse me, that the project has in assessing all facets of the migration. As we mentioned, the presenters joining me today will go into more detail about these specific topical areas, but we're just sharing this for context. If we could move to the next slide. The information that we're sharing today has been rolled up. There's a significant amount of content that comes out of these sessions. This is intended to be a high-level overview of outputs from the internal project sessions with a specific focus, again, on the action that was taken that resulted in benefit to the counties. So it is worth noting here that while we appreciate the opportunity to join you all and share what we've learned and the actions that have resulted from those observations, the teams are doing a fantastic job of fine-tuning throughout each wave. And as a result, we've already experienced a reduction in the number of observations and recommended actions coming out of these sessions. So while retrospective updates will continue to be provided throughout subsequent waves, we anticipate the number of actions taken that we provide updates on will continue to trend down. This is by design, and it's definitely a positive. So in a moment, I'll be turning it over to my fellow presenters who will focus first on the themes that were identified in their sessions around improvement opportunities, and then provide a recap on the actions that were taken as a result of what we've learned. So without further ado, we'll move on to the next slide, and I'll turn it over to Catherine. She's going to kick us off with OCM training and implementation.
Thank you, Gretchen, and good morning, everyone. So for our, the first retrospective that we wanted to highlight today is for OCM training and our implementation work streams, which includes all of our pre and post activities. This slide here represents the themes across each one of the work streams. After further review and understanding, the consistent meaning behind these themes is customization. For communications, it's all about what information does each individual county need, what information to which user group, and how to tailor the overall ISS processes to better align to each of the individual counties. So let's go forward one slide and dive a little bit deeper. The changes made for OCM training work streams are outlined on this slide. For tools, the OCM team is collecting inputs from the counties to help prioritize what information is needed to increase user adoption into CalSAWS. Whether it's through demos, other topics for infographics, or understanding the needs by each user group, for example, making sure that the clerical staff also receive relevant information as they continue to increase their adoption within CalSAWS. The training team continues to create innovative ways to circumvent some of the challenges that the team has encompassed with each of the counties. As the training efforts for Wave 5 are already well underway, there's been more flexibility in a tool that is really about a change log for the flexibility to have counties customize and align the curriculum to each individual staff member. These inputs are collected way in advance of even the early learning, and through this tool, there's been more options for counties to reduce the time it takes to complete those core activities. The training team is also working through TAC meetings as well as individual meetings with each of the training or each of the county's training team to make sure that lessons learned continue to be incorporated for the subsequent waves. It's crazy to even think through that they're already starting that planning effort for early learning with the Wave 6 counties right now. On the next slide, highlights all of the changes that the implementation work streams have made for the remaining county migrations. The team has enhanced the county prep packet in a number of different ways. This packet provides all of the documentation, the worksheets, as well as the instructions to level set the expectations and provide the counties with a clear picture of what to expect, when to expect it throughout the county prep period. An enhancement to the distribution of the readiness packet and dashboard has been made. The adjustment and the enhancement is focused on aligning the distribution of that information to the governing meetings schedule. The intended outcome of the change is to provide the most up-to-date information for the counties as opposed to a lag and behind. A key activity for the success of our post-implementation efforts and deploying staff to the counties post-go live is rooted in our county site visits. We have now, we review in those meetings the layouts of the offices, we get a better sense of services provided, and we also collect all of the logistics that are required for those planning efforts. The lesson learned, as well as the process enhancement that we've done, is we are now conducting these site visits further in advance to allow for more time and collaboration with the counties for these planning efforts. There have also been a few efforts to improve and increase our communications for both pre and post implementation activities. During county prep, especially for the kickoff meeting, to ground the counties with the intent, the purpose, and providing more information of what to expect. Today, we actually have the Wave 5 County Prep Kickoff meeting, and we're excited about incorporating these on an ongoing and iterative way. For on-site support planning, it requires frequent meetings with each of the counties, including outlining any specifics that are unique to that county. For example, whether it's office hours post-go live for lobbies or call centers, perhaps it's also including some security forms that are required for post-go live support to sign in advance of that go live. And then lastly, as more counties are in CalSAWS, the remaining TOS meetings have dedicated timings for all of the lessons learned to focus on that continuous improvement and things to keep in mind as noted from the migrating county. That concludes the ISS. To Danielle to walk through the contact center and the imaging.
Good morning, everyone. As Gretchen had said in the beginning, as we continue to do these retrospectives, we're going to continue to see improvements and maybe a little less. So some of this might be a little bit of a repeat from last time. So in the space of contact center and imaging, we've really focused the themes on information sharing, county support, county preparedness, and resources. These are continuing themes from our previous retrospective, and we will continue these themes forward as we continue all the retrospectives for all the waves. If we jump to the next slide, contact center, we're really focusing on model office. This has always been an area that needs a lot of focus. So we're continuing our on-site model prep days. These were very useful for wave 3. We got a little bit more in depth for wave 4 as we're refining how those model office prep days go, making sure we're testing connectivity, both on-site, remote work. Model office is a full 3 weeks. You'll continue to hear me say that. So we have lots of time to get in there. Our counties for going through the retrospective are completing the script processing and really walking through the script processing in the beginning of model office. So the remainder of those weeks are used to really get staff in there to play around. And we've seen a great improvement in readiness around that. We're exploring opportunities to expose staff to support processes, including the admin page and staff profiles and functionalities. We saw that as a big piece for in this retroactive to make sure that post go live counties are aware of how they're going to manage the contact center space and those things that they can do without project intervention. And then, of course, for the communication with contact center, we continue to refine the communication, adjusting our model office decks, information and details around call toll-free porting of the phone number. So this is something that happens post go live, and what the impacts are between those two stages. If we jump over to imaging, we have seen a lot of success in our BPR sessions. Oh, we jumped one, sorry about that. In our BPR sessions that we schedule early to kind of go back through what you did long time ago with your business process reviews, and just kind of doing a re-education, and then going through and providing additional functionality demos, refreshers for imaging prior to your go live. And with that, I'll hand it over.
Thanks, Danielle. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mike Tomakian. I'll be covering the CDD and conversion retrospective. Some of the common things that we saw with these retro sessions are increasing the county touch points, increased communication, resource materials, and additional demos and walkthroughs. Let's go to the next slide, please. So some of the enhancements that we made for CDV is that we have case review scripts that can be that have been refined with additional information for CDV and go live click-throughs. We've also enhanced the mask data guide to cover additional areas like claims and other healthcare. We have a CDV Q&A document, which is updated daily and shared with individuals. Also, our kickoff meetings now include demos and walkthroughs. It's more of an interactive session with the staff. For conversion, we have made the following enhancements. We updated our county click-through materials to set clear expectations for Wave C cutovers. We increased the scripts to include scenarios for shell cases and closed cases. Moving forward, we'll have 2 touchpoint calls for our click-through participants during the weekend to give them updates as we are moving forward with our cutover. Also, we'll be sending out cutover communications every 3 hours. There's a little typo there, during the day, and then the frequency will be reduced during the overnight hours starting at 11. The communications as they go out will indicate the time that you'll be getting the next update. At this time, I'll be passing it over to Rachel.
Thank you. Mike? Is that on? Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, I'll say our themes are having themes across our different retrospectives. So for Benefits Cal, our 3 areas that we heard through the retrospectives were focused on providing a place where people could get hands-on experience, so tied to the training environment, increasing availability of resources to provide county support within their county offices and in the lobbies, and then providing some additional resources as well. If we could move to the next slide, some specifics around this. We do have a training environment now available for both the counties and the CBOs. That environment is specific to the roles that the county plays and that the CBOs play, but the whole intent of it is to promote overall awareness of the features that are available for their particular role and get comfortable within the training environment. We also have heard as a consistent theme, and I would say this wasn't just specific to the last wave, but that the customers are asking for more information to help them with increasing the likelihood that their accounts are going to link. So we provided some resources and guidance around that as well, but bearing in mind that it's done with a level of security and privacy, but not to allow others to attempt to link accounts with cases. And then the last item that we observed when we were out in the offices, but then also heard through the retrospectives, is that there is a real opportunity to have Benefits Cal staff in the lobbies and also in advance of the migration for a particular wave to give training and resources specifically to the reception staff and to those that would be monitoring the lobby so that they are more aware about the features available in Benefits Cal. From a process viewpoint, we heard from the counties varying degrees of when they would like to see Benefits Cal resources on site. Some said, first week, let us get our feet wet, come back the second week. Some said we'd like to have you the first week. So we're going to be flexible with the future waves of having an on-site presence, that we're going to be working with the counties to say, let us know when the best time is for us to have our resources out there to help and support. And they also asked for more coverage. So we spent a couple of days across the counties, but people are asking for extended site support from the Benefits Cal team, which we are going to be providing starting with Wave 4. The last item, when we were in the lobbies, one thing that we heard that would be helpful is for those that have desktops where people are using them is to provide shortcut capabilities so people get direct access or QR codes that they could hand out so that they get that quick access to the Benefits Cal site. So those are things that we are going to be adopting with our future waves. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to Michael.
Thank you for that thorough update on the retrospective from all those different angles. That's going to be important for us going forward quite a bit in terms of our continuous improvement strategies. So are there any questions or comments from the rest of our board members or our state partners on that presentation? Okay, hearing none, any public comment?
Hi, this is Jennifer from the Advocates Group. Thank you for taking the time to create the retrospective and the opportunity to participate. Maybe I missed it, but was there anything for the future waves related to the public?
Yeah, Jennifer, we just had the retrospective that we did, I think, week before last, where we went through. We're still gathering those items, and we will be reporting out to both in public, JPA, PSC, and also letting you, as well as the stakeholders, know what the result of those are. So we have to gather that information from that 90-minute session that we had, be able to look through that and those particular action items. So that is going to be reported out at a future public meeting, but prior to that, you will be seeing what the results of that are as we go through that.
Oh, okay. In the beginning, it said that this included feedback from the stakeholder session. So I guess I'm confused about the time, like what's included or not included here.
I think that's coming in. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gretchen.
Yeah, I can weigh in here. So the retrospectives, we were specific today in the content that is being provided is the output from the internal sessions and the actions taken that are the resulting in benefit to the county. So the session that was conducted, and Jennifer, thank you for your contribution there for the stakeholder session on the 21st. That feedback is being shared back with the internal teams for consideration. So the information here today did not reflect content from the stakeholder session from the 21st.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any other public comment? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next presentation. Thank you very much to our presenters.
Thanks, Michael. You know, usually at these membership meetings, we try to have a little bit of fun with them, and we also try to make these almost like a conference. This year, we've stayed pretty much to business and getting business because we have so much on our plate. But our team did want to work with our counties. We thank our county participants in this next section, Greg, Heather, and Maria, for agreeing to just be with us, have a little bit of fun, and hopefully we all learn a few things. So Catherine, I'm going to turn it over to you as our master of ceremonies here. I think you're having a little bit of audio issues, Catherine, and it started up at last time.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, and the background music.
Perfect, all right. Well, good morning again, CalSAWS. Welcome to today's Wheel of CalSAWS game. Unfortunately, Ryan Seacrest is not able to join us today. So instead, you have your implementation managers. My name is Catherine Van Nieman, and we also have Vang Via Yang, who are going to be co-hosting today's game. So the game is Wheel of CalSAWS. Contestants are going to participate with a Wheel of Fortune speed style game where we will have a word puzzle, And then the winner, whoever gets that unique puzzle, is going to be responding to a question that aligns to what the meaning of the puzzle is. We have a total of 3 rounds within our Wheel of CalSAWS game, but don't worry, we also have a bonus round that we are also very excited about. So let's go ahead to the next slide and let's meet our contestants. All the way from wave 1 back in October, today we have Greg Geisler. Greg, would you welcome to the game of Wheel of CalSAWS?
Thank you, Catherine. I'm very happy to be here, proud to be part of the very first wave of counties that transitioned from went over to CalSAWS, representing both Placer and Yolo counties.
Thanks, Greg. We're so excited that you're here. All right, so representing wave 2, today we have Heather Mitchell. Everyone, let's welcome Heather. All right, so all the way, we now have our wave 3 contestants. Today we have Maria Sanchez, who has joined us. Maria, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria, and I'm from Ventura County. I'm really happy to be here representing Wave 3, Ventura, Orange, and Santa Barbara counties.
Fantastic. All right, so everyone, contestants, let's play our first puzzle. So just as a hint, this puzzle, this word is around the level of enthusiasm and dedication a worker feels towards their job.
Catherine, I'd like to solve the puzzle. Staff engagement.
Fantastic. This is great news. All right, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to Yong to talk a little bit more about staff engagement.
So congratulations, Greg, on getting that first puzzle. Let's expand a little bit more on that puzzle and ask you, contestant number 1, how did you keep your teams optimistic in preparing for and post-migration?
Well, communication was huge. We shared as much possible as much information as we had. Being the first wave, we let everyone know that it was a work in progress, not to expect that everything would be correct right off the bat, but we'd keep working on it until it was. We reminded staff that the system is different, but it has many connections to things we already knew and understood. We were honest about the challenges, and I, as the director, expressed my genuine, clear belief that the migration would go well. We assigned our best cheerleaders, regardless of position, to lead the change, be the change champions in the OCM. And almost immediately before the transition, we had an all-staff, all of us together for the first time since the pandemic, to say goodbye to CalWin and welcome to CalSAWS. After the migration, we set up continued support meetings. We closed down early and opened up later, so staff had time to work on their questions and work on their actual cases. And we reminded everyone that we were all learning together. It's really easy to feel like it's just you, but we're all in the same place, learning the same things, and we remained optimistic and kept realistic expectations on our learning process.
Great, thank you for that insight. Heather, did you have any additional insight you'd like to share? All right, we'll move on to contestant number 3, Maria from Ventura. What about your county?
Sure. Well, the more you know about something, the better you'll feel about it. So we created desk guides that focus on the CalSAWS impact to our county business processes. Our desk guides are meant to supplement the job aids and fact sheets that were provided by the CalSAWS project. The tools for staff are in a familiar format and are easily accessible through our agency intranet site. We foster optimism by providing additional support and guidance for staff as they adapt to CalSAWS.
All right, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and move on to puzzle number 2.
All right, so puzzle number 2. The hint is the process that staff go through when they start using CalSAWS and commit to CalSAWS.
User adoption.
Oh, fantastic. Contestant number 2, congratulations, you won this puzzle.
All right, Heather, let's do a deeper dive into that puzzle. So what CalSAWS functionality has the most positive impact on your staff?
First of all, I just being in one system with imaging and tasks, staff just having to log into one system to access all the different areas, as well as in CalWIN we had UEMs, but now with CalSAWS it applies data changes according to the program policy to avoid benefit discontinuance erroneously. Example, income reported under IRT. Replace EBT benefit skimming in CalSAWS. In CalWIN we had to do it through Epic and manually record it. CalSAWS automatically issues the diaper benefit for households with children under 3 years old. CalSAWS does not run EDBC through batch, so if a worker's working on a case, they don't have to worry about the case authorizing through batch. CalSAWS allows us to run specific months and programs. CalSAWS grants access to restaurant meals automatically based on the data collection. So there's many more great, I think, attributes of CalSAWS that staff have enjoyed, but these are some of the main ones that we've seen.
Thank you. And Maria, anything you'd like to add?
Yes, the ability to determine eligibility by programs separately has definitely had a positive impact on the way we process multi-program cases. This is especially helpful when working on cases with active Medi-Cal and other programs. For example, we can process changes for CalFresh while following the Medi-Cal regulations for maintaining benefits during the PHE unwinding period. CalSAWS functionality makes it so much easier to accomplish this.
And Greg, did you have any perspective you'd like to share?
Yes, there's a lot of functionality in CalSAWS that really assists our workers in making their job easier. And a couple examples in Medi-Cal, when foster kids age out, we used to get referrals from foster care and had to wait to discontinue them. Now CalSAWS does it, automatically transitions them to Medi-Cal. People turning 65 also, when they get referred to Medicare, we used to have to send out packets. Now CalSAWS sends the packets and 2 reminder notices automatically. There's integration of Outlook for appointments. The e-sign options are tremendous, and we really look forward to figuring more ways to take advantage of them. Also, the ICT process, having everybody on a single system makes it much easier to understand.
Thank you, Greg. All right, let's go on and move on to puzzle number 3.
All right, so this phrase is really about knowledge through direct participation and building teamwork. Do we have any contestants that would like to solve this puzzle?
Catherine, I'd like to solve the puzzle. Experience and collaborate.
Congratulations. That's number 3, Maria. Great job. All right, I believe we have her, and we'll start with Maria.
All right, Maria, amazing work on that long puzzle. Now let's discuss the puzzle a little bit more and looking back through your migration experience. What activities do you suggest other counties do or keep doing?
Well, in Ventura, we launched a command center at Go Live to establish and maintain communication with the managers at each office throughout the county. We met daily to assess how staff is acclimating to CalSAWS and to identify any issues. Our security admin team and our help desk staff was on site and worked diligently to resolve the issues related to security and configuration. Often resolutions were completed in real time while a meeting was still in session. Some of the areas that needed our attention included EBT printer access, reception log, imaging security rights, and task bank configuration. Our advice to future waves is to be aware that there will likely be a need for fine-tuning the configurations that you set up during county prep. consult with the on-site and virtual support staff, and reach out to your CalSAWS regional managers for additional guidance.
Thank you. And Greg, contestant number 1, would you like to add any additional context?
Yeah, to keep everybody engaged after the go live, really we had in Placer, we used multiple repetitive communication channels, our webpage, newsletters, games, flyers, email, standing agenda items at meetings. At the point in time where really folks are starting to feel bored with what they're hearing, it's the time that they've actually started understanding it. And it's time to change up your message or how you deliver it. Also, even though we might have already made some decisions early on after learning more about the functionality, it's really important that you understand it's okay to change your process and your decisions. And it's especially helpful to confer with other counties. Your staff cultivating good relationships with their colleagues in the other counties that have gone before them is really important. It allows better understanding of the processes and systems that are different.
Thank you. And last but not least, Heather, what advice do you have for migrating counties?
We also had bridge calls and daily meetings and huddles to keep everyone up to date of what's happening and what's going on with the migration, as well as a separate bridge call just for security to ensure that staff are able to access the windows that they need to access. And we were making those changes as we were learning the system as well. We continue to have bridge calls in instances that we need to bring up any hot topic items, as well as we continue to review our business processes and make changes as we're still learning the system. I think one great thing has been that CalSAWS in general just has brought counties internally together as we all are working together, and the directors have supported us throughout all of it.
Thank you, Heather, for all that insight. Now I'm going to turn it back to Catherine for our bonus round.
All right, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. So let's go ahead, let's jump right into our bonus round. Contestants, are you ready?
Ready.
Yes.
All right.
I know.
The power of 58.
Congratulations, all of our contestants are winners for the power of 58. All right, well, we appreciate everybody's participation in today's Wheel of CalSAWS. As you can tell, there is a plethora and a wealth of knowledge and a very strong community that our CalSAWS counties have together. If we could go forward one slide, we just again wanted to thank our participants, and for your participation, please accept a CalSAWS Power of 58 tote that Greg, we will provide to you in person. And for Maria and Heather, we will get that over to you shortly. Thank you, everyone. And we turn it over to Michael and to John.
All right, Michael. And I just want to thank the team. You know, I was skeptical when they started saying it just better work. And I just.
But you can tell you've got a very creative group of people there. Well, thank you.
That's why I was skeptical, because I'm not.
I'm with you on that. I'm like, oh boy. No, you guys did a really, really great job, and always educational. So thank you very much for that. I'll open it up to any comments or questions from our board members, our state partners on that presentation. Okay, hearing none, any public comment? All right, great job, you guys, and the levity was greatly appreciated. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into the next one. Thanks so much, team.
Very good.
All right, so pivoting to our readiness for waves 4 through 6. We just had a great recap of looking in the rearview mirror, and now we're going forward. So the first update that we wanted just to, again, congratulations to our Wave 4 counties. Yesterday, we received the official recommendation and vote from our regional managers to move forward, and cutover will start this afternoon. So great congratulations. Let's go ahead and just dive right into their readiness. So for Wave 4, this information is as of Friday, 6/23. Over the weekend and through a number of activities that the counties and the teams have completed, almost all of the categories at this point are complete. So from watch items, again, in Arnold and Rachel are going to walk through some of the risks that we're still tracking towards. So from Wave 4, just want to highlight the defects resolution. We are completing all of the documentation for outstanding defects for the Wave 4. That will be documented in our Go Live packet that will be distributed to the Wave 4 counties on Wednesday, July 5th. The other item that is a watch item is again pertaining to the time for the counties in the project to refactor reports. That is under the implementation watch item. As of today, all of the day 1 reports for Wave 4 counties are complete. And the team is going to continue to work with Gainwell and the counties for all of those other remaining reports post Go Live. For Wave 5 readiness, there are a couple of items that we do want to just highlight today. For the county interface partner testing under integration readiness, we are slightly behind schedule. The project team is working with one of the Wave 5 counties on completing their the county and the CalSAWS IPT testing. Under the conversion, we continue to monitor the cutover window, and Arnold will also provide an update regarding risk number 258 as we move forward with the subsequent waves. Implementation does have a watch item again. This is pertaining to the refactoring the day 1 ad hoc reports. For Wave 6, a couple of things to note. The Wave 6 for imaging readiness, there is a risk number 264 that is regarding the counties making sure that they have the time to complete their imaging timelines for exporting of all of their imaging. So this one specifically, the project team is working with the Wave 6 counties to make sure that they have that schedule. And again, we continue to monitor it. So going forward one slide, looking at it from a county perspective, for Wave 4, application readiness, there's a few more things that are outstanding, but again, that will be completed in terms of getting ready for their go live next week. Conversion, all of the activities will start, like I had mentioned, this afternoon, including making sure all the files from CalWin have been provided to the project for the cutover. The training at this point is also complete. All Wave 4 counties have access to the practice labs. But from an instructor-led training perspective, all of the anticipated ILTs as well as WBTs in all counties have reached all of their percentage completion all investment of your staff completing training. For Wave 5, for integration, we did mention that they are slightly behind schedule. And again, the project team is working with Alameda on resolving this and giving them all of the extra support that is needed to make sure that those interfaces will continue to be tested by July 7th. For Wave 6, I did mention the imaging item, just making sure that Sacramento has enough time to export all of their timeline or all of their images. And again, Arnold will cover this information on the next slides. So with that, I think we go directly into risks, in which I will turn over to Rachel to start.
Yeah, I was going to say, Catherine, next time around, don't put risks after Wheel of Fortune. Bring it down just a little bit. You're going to have to remind me next time. So 262, if I could make this really exciting. On 262, we get to retire Wave 4's risk at the end of this week. So that's something to look forward to. For Waves 5 and 6, For 262, which this is about making sure that the counties have the information that they need, that they've got it timely. We are still working with the waves 5 and 6 counties to give them the information that they need to feel comfortable. It's an ongoing monitoring, and we'll stay in an amber status until we get the all clear from the counties around their level of comfort. Arnold?
Sure. For 264, Calhoun County Waves may not complete their imaging migration readiness activities by the go live dates. For 4 and 5, we are on track. And so we are just keeping this as a green. For wave 6, as Catherine had mentioned, there's a county that their bulk exports are going to be on track. Now we're just working through their incrementals, because after the bulk export of the historical images, obviously every day more business comes in, more images are captured on the legacy system. And so we need incremental transfers to get those over into the conversion environment and ultimately onto CalSAWs. So we're keeping that at amber as we work through with that county to understand and help them bridge that gap with those incrementals. For 269, Calhoun counties may not have enough development and testing timeline to refactor their ad hoc reports and ancillary systems. For wave 4, as you heard Catherine say, all of the day 1 reports are done, and we're just keeping track on the post day 1 reports as well, giving the counties the assistance they need. And doing the same for waves 5 and 6, making sure that they are on track to have the reports they need for their day 1 after conversion, and also leveraging and educating them on the reporting options that are available in CalSAWs between the core system reports, as well as the ad hoc reports and overall system functionality within the data lake. So we are working with the counties to fulfill their information needs. For 281, changes to San Diego County POP site. So we are ahead of San Diego County, because San Diego County is doing a data center migration in a couple of months. So we are just keeping this as a low risk item. It's no issue or no risk to the conversion activities upcoming this weekend. And when they're ready to cut over to that new data center, those circuits are already installed and verified, so that we will ensure a smooth transition of services for San Diego when they cut over to their new data center. On risk 288, this one is trending down to green. This has to do with wave 6 in San Francisco County, delays in circuit delivery. This was more focused on their second circuit. So as I had mentioned before, we have 2 circuits that go into each of the counties. And the first one is up and functional. And the second one is the one that we're seeing some delays on, but that's trending to green. Those issues have been worked through, and installation and validation of that circuit is in process. On 289, Rachel, I'll turn that over to you.
Thanks, Arnold. So on 289, as we know, the counties have been moving from their old Calhoun light systems and their individuals that are in their community-based organizations onto CalSAWs and Benefits Cal. We are going to retire this for wave 4 at the end of this week. And then for waves 5 and 6 right now, we are in a green status, but it is something that we will continue to monitor as we complete our readiness activities within the counties. Arnold, 258.
All right, 258, one of our favorite risks and issues, and we have some excellent news regarding 258. And first off, I'll just start out with that this is late breaking for our wave 4 counties, and we're working with them to determine the best path forward, and we have the times there. The good news is we are under 84 hours for wave 4, and we also expect to be under 84 hours for wave 5, and we know we'll be under 84 hours for wave 6. So we are currently scheduled for we've modified the outage windows for this upcoming weekend as a result of that. CalSAWs will be coming down at 8 p.m. on Friday night, rather than the original 5 p.m. that we had discussed. And then on Calhoun as well, with the 4 counties, they are coming down between 3 and 6 p.m. based upon their preferences. And then everybody will be up and running by 6 a.m. Monday morning. So when we have confirmation of that for wave 4, we will more than likely be downgrading the wave 5 risk to a low risk, as our mock conversion showed those similar results. We are using Golden Gate for as well as additional performance enhancements to achieve that 84-hour window. 285, Rachel, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Arnold. So on 285 for waves 5 and 6, we have completed the county profiles around their ability to take over supporting the counties once we complete the post-implementation support period. We are working right now with the counties on their escalation procedures, and a CRFI has been distributed out to understand county support specifically for wave 5, which is due at the end of next month, so the end of July. Arnold, back to you.
Thank you. So risk 279, Calhoun counties may not be prepared to reconcile fiscal and submit state reports timely. So for the wave 4 counties, for the past 6 weeks, they have been going through discussions with the team showing how that report reconciliation process can be completed on CalSAWS. We will keep it open through their first month as well. So both their July reporting period and August reporting period. Then for waves 5 and 6, those counties will go through similar process. 6 weeks prior, we will have the detailed meetings with them to map the process, as well as provide the support afterwards. After the counties go live, they will be joining the regularly scheduled state reporting meeting that occurs every other week, and additional support will be provided as needed through that forum. So then if we move on to 280, unresolved go live dependent defects being resolved prior to go live. So much like we saw the improvement between wave 2 and wave 3, we'll see more similar improvement between wave 3 and wave 4 when it comes to the number of defects that will be addressed. There's been a significant number where the conversion logic has been updated. We also have our data changes that are scheduled that will occur before the go live decision. And then we also, for those defects that remain, they have been slotted into days 1 through 10. And anything that is open after go live has already been included in the go live packet. So the counties know if there's a workaround, what that workaround is. So then if we look at 291, enhanced conversion change quality, we leave this one open as a medium as a result of the 3C4A issue that we had with our configuration management with the code base. So we are keeping this open. We have made changes to that configuration management process with the validation to confirm that the code is ready for our 4B conversion upcoming this week, as well as any sort of database changes that were required as well. So we will just keep this open to maintain the visibility. On 292, I think Catherine talked about that from a wave 5 perspective. There's some delays on Alameda County regarding the interface development. We're, again, just watching this and providing the county support as required. If we move on to the next slide. If we talk about scalability, so again, scaling to the 58 counties, we remain green, and this is just a watch item for us. Additional performance enhancements have been put in, and we are seeing the benefits of that for each of these waves, with the batch process continuing to finish earlier in the day. And we expect to see the same trend after wave 4 goes live. On risk 284, this is the contact center for Los Angeles County. We will be performing that performance test in the next 3 weeks, in which we expect to have the positive results, and then we will be able to close that risk out as well. And then the final risk is 240, scaling into production operations, including batch operations to provide the 58 county support. There's a checklist that we complete prior to every conversion 4B event, and that is making sure that the counties are integrated into the CalSAWS process for communications. for production information, for release information, for service desk integration, as well as enhancement requests and bug defects. And so that checklist is completed prior to go live. It has been completed for wave 4, but we just keep it in an amber status as we know that it is a large change going from CalWIN over to CalSAWS. And so we just maintain the focus there. So with that, Michael, I believe I can return it back to you for questions.
Have to get my mic to turn on. Sorry, guys. Okay, any questions or comments from our partners, or state partners, or our directors or board members here on this presentation? A lot of material on this. All right, you guys must have did a very informative job. No. Any public comment? Okay, great. I really like the transparency, John, of us continuing to keep our risks out there and really going through it and showing the progress made against each one. I think that's very, very important. So thank you to the team. Appreciate it. We can move on to the next item.
All right, that brings us to our release and policy updates. And we know that the counties are under a heavy workload with the continuous coverage unwinding. So we want to hit that as well as our upcoming policy releases for both CalSAWS as well as Benefits Cal. So Lisa?
Thanks, John. We're going to start off with the continuous coverage unwinding. And I believe Teresa's on the line this morning to step us through a few.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And I'm just so grateful that there was a buffer between Wheel of CalSAWS and my presentation. Wonderful job, and it's great to see as we're moving more towards migration. But we know that the continuous coverage unwinding is definitely on the minds of our county partners and truly, really the whole state of California. So just wanted to provide some updates for all of you on some of the unwinding pieces. The first is just letting folks know that DHCS did publish our first unwinding eligibility dashboard. It was published on June 13th, and I have put the link where you can locate that. One important piece is that this is for March data. And so this is truly data that existed prior to the continuous coverage unwinding renewals really beginning to be processed. And so the purpose of this data is really to kind of level set where we are at baseline going into the unwinding, to become familiar with the data elements that we're going to be reporting out on, and really to use this as sort of a baseline for where we're going to go over the next 12 months. DHCS will be updating this on a monthly basis. I think the dashboard that folks are most interested in will be published in the month of August, and that will be the June renewals, which will be the first month of renewals where counties are actively taking action on cases. We've been working very closely with SAWS and the local county offices to make sure that that data truly represents what's happening at the county level, and we'll continue to do that refinement throughout the process. The other thing that was also published recently by DHCS is on June 16th, we posted our continuous coverage unwinding county readiness plan summaries. Similar to DHCS, the counties worked very hard on developing some kind of processes of how they were going to approach the unwinding at a county level. Lots of innovation coming out of those county readiness pieces, and also, recognizing that there are some challenges ahead for counties as well. And so we have published just a summary of what it looks like across California, and what counties will be doing and facing over the next 12 months. And then finally, just really wanting to call out that while California really waited to kind of ease into the continuous coverage unwinding, other states did not make that same choice. And so we're really getting an opportunity to understand what likely may be on the horizon for states based on what is happening in April and May for the states that have already begun their discontinuance processes. Sort of based on some of the results that they're seeing, the United States Health and Human Services Agency did make a call out to governors across the nation to really say it is all hands on deck. call to action. The numbers that we're seeing out there for procedural discontinuances are higher than what we are anticipating. And so we are hoping to do everything we can to really spread the word about the completing the renewal, even when they think they might be over the income limit for Medi-Cal. And so because of that, you are going to see that DHCS is continuing to look at other available flexibilities for us to use that will do two things. One, ease the administrative burden for our county eligibility workers, but two, ease the burden of completing the renewal process for our Medi-Cal members as well. We're working closely with our stakeholder community and our county work group to really make sure that we're applying for the waivers that make sense here in California. And so those are the updates in regards to the continuous coverage unwinding. I'll turn it over to you, Lisa.
Thanks, Teresa. So I just, before we move off this slide, one quick item on the first bullet. So we did receive a number of inquiries around the data. So in working with DHCS, CWDA, and the counties, so every month we do receive a number of requests for this data. There's 3 separate data feeds. That information will be available to the counties. 2 of those data feeds come out around the 7th of the month, and the 3rd one is around the 3rd week of the month. So I believe a couple of weeks ago, information went out to each of the counties around the data review process. So we will be moving forward starting in July. So you will have the opportunity to see this data. There's fact sheets that were sent out that described the data, how it's pulled. We do have the sequels available for you as well, because I know some counties have asked for that. So just a highlight that this information will be available to you. There's an opportunity to ask any questions before it gets submitted through to DHCS. Let's go to the next slide. So next 3 slides I'll just go through very quickly, focused on the renewal month. So with the June renewals, we are, we've run the discontinuance processes as we've heard. So we're in a period right now of if a packet is returned anytime from the 19th through the first few days of July, we do have a daily process that will auto rescind that discontinuance. It is important that when that packet is scanned in, the customer reporting record is updated to say received. That's one of the triggers. But we are in that period where it will be auto rescinded and benefits reinstated. So I just want to highlight that for you all. That information was provided in one of the fact sheets that we sent out. I believe, gosh, I have to go back early last month to let the counties know about that auto rescind process. If we skip forward to July renewals. So where we stand is we've generated a 2nd reminder notice to those individuals who have a renewal due in July. That alerts them to turn in their renewal packet. I know many of the packets have been returned, and counties are processing those packets as we move into that 3rd week of July is when we'll run that discontinuance process. And again, after that process, that auto rescind will kick in as well for about 10 days. Next slide. Around August renewals. So we have initiated the ex parte process earlier this month. For those households where a packet was required, we did generate the packets, and they have been sent to Central Print and have been printed and mailed at this point in time. So as we move into July for the August renewals, we'll start generating those reminder notices for recipients. And as I mentioned yesterday on the green light call, with the way 4 counties transitioning between systems this weekend, we will be confirming we get those documents migrated over, and so those downstream processes are invoked for those August renewals for our wave 4 counties. Next slide, please, Jen. Okay, so release highlights, just a couple of things to touch on here. As we head into summer, the big one there is our 2307 release, and that should actually say it's live on the Monday the 24th. Through this morning, we're really making rapid progress on this release. We're over 85% tested and passed as we head into next week. There is a webcast with the counties on the 11th of July, and then green light is on the 19th for this release. And then into August, we do have our foster care COLA, so that is something we are starting development on next week and getting through the development testing cycle in order to run that COLA. Calwin is also running that COLA in the July timeframe. We have another major release happening in September of 2309, and we are currently in development on that release. Sorry, back on that last slide, we have our largest COLA of the year with the CalFresh COLA and CalWorks MAP increase. And we have been tracking this with CDSS and working across systems. We know with wave 5 happening at the end of August, we've been working through some plans for this particular COLA. We've documented a couple of dates in late August where we potentially can run the COLA prior to cutover. Otherwise, we have that first weekend in September. Now, of course, with this particular COLA, we have to receive the values from FNS. In the past 2 years, those values have come in very late in August, so we've been running the COLA in September. We are constantly talking with CDSS. They do have to wait for FNS on this. So I just wanted to put this out there. As we progress in the next couple of months, we'll provide more information on the options we're looking at here for this COLA. We know that we need to be in sync across the systems when we run it, especially with wave 5 there, and having the consistent values across the system when we run EPC match for those wave 5 counties. So more to come, and this is just a highlight at this point that it's something we are tracking closely. And then before I leave this slide, I just want to address Gilbert's question earlier around EBT and that premise item. So there's kind of 3 things in flight around the theft, EBT theft replacement. So the first one, there is revisions coming out to the reporting of theft replacement form, the EBT 2259. So we have part of that premise item that does impact, putting the correspondence in the system and the updated languages, as well as making it available in Benefits Cal. So that is a change we're tracking to there. Back in April, we did receive a surfer from CDSS related to EBT Edge mobile application. That application is going to be putting in some new features around freezing and unfreezing of cards, blocking internet transactions, unblocking those transactions. So there's some integrations there with those new features in CalSource. So that is something we're looking into as well, Gilbert. And then the third item is around the replacement benefit there. Currently, it's replaced in cash, and there's future policy pending around replacing it as a food benefit. So I just wanted to cover those 3 things. Next slide, if we move on, we have been continuing to support the counties through disaster CalFresh. Waves 4 and 4.1, Butte and Humboldt County, they've just completed the application periods this week. I did want to call out Wave 5 when we put the slides together. That was a pending approval. That request was actually denied. So we will not be running that disaster CalFresh. And then Wave 6 there is San Luis Obispo, and that will run at Calwin in July. From a disaster CalFresh perspective, because we had many counties involved over the spring and into summer, we have done a retrospective at the project level. There are some future changes we need to make to the system that we're queuing up as we head into the fall period. There's some revisions to the forms, and there was changes around how the applications were being reported based on some new guidance from FNS. So there are a couple of the changes we need to make as we move forward in readiness for any future disaster CalFresh activities. Next slide. We included here the CWDA slides that I think you've seen multiple times before. We do have a large number of premise items as we head into the state fiscal year. As you heard, earlier. We're starting work on, I'm drawing a blank right now. We talked about CARES. Anne asked the question around CARES. We are starting, and we've been working with the CARES project on a weekly basis. We have multiple conversations set up. We're talking through the technology and the APIs that we're going to be using, as well as engaging with CWDA and the counties and the CARES project on the eligibility work stream. So that effort is really going to accelerate here in the next couple of months. We're also working closely with CDSS as it relates to the CFAP policy. I know we're looking forward to getting those policy revisions in the next few months to start that automation effort on the CFAP expansion, as well as in the fall, we know that transitional nutrition benefits, those renewals will restart again. They've been on pause for a couple of years, and we have some system changes that are going in 2309, our September release, in readiness for starting those recertifications. So if we keep going, there's a lot here. I'm not going to talk through all these items. We'll go one more slide. So we have benefits Cal. You know, Rachel, Ona's on.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, all. From the benefits Cal releases standpoint, this slide provides an outline of the key milestones and upcoming releases starting this summer throughout the calendar year, rest of this calendar year. And this timeline also highlights the quarterly collaboration model meetings and the Calvin waves, as well as the monthly release activities. In addition to the ongoing monthly release activities, as Catherine covered earlier with the readiness section updates, Calvin Wave 4 is right on the corner, which we are all excited about, and which will be followed by the Wave 5 and Wave 6 this fall, upcoming this year, as well as the time clocks enhancement is coming up last quarter of this calendar year as well. And one item to highlight from our monthly 2306 release, obviously there's a list of items made available for customers from the improvement standpoint, but one item to highlight here for this group is a change delivered to improve customer experience for the benefits Cal customers when the systems is under the maintenance mode, which is with this change, the customers will be able to see their case details or the IRT data when the benefits Cal is in the offline mode during the maintenance window. We should also expect it to reduce the call volumes that counties receive from the customers as well during these timeframes. So that change made available last week as part of the monthly release. So this is already available for customers going forward. So with that, I think we can move on to the next slide. This will be you too, right? Task management, Lisa? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to invite Jason Ostwald to come on camera. He's going to walk us through task management. We wanted to spend a little bit of time to talk through some of the enhancements that we've been working through. You know, task management is very important to your business, the way you assign out work. So Jason, we see you there. You ready to take us through this section?
Yep, sure thing. Thank you, Lisa. So hi, everyone. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background on how this project started. So it started very late last year around December's, where some of the counties have expressed a desire to enhance some of the solution to better align with how the county's business process is evolving over time. Really, they were looking around for opportunities to enhance metrics and reporting. That was a very key thing to help with counties administer task management in a task-based virtual environment. So a couple of the counties had actually submitted CERs or enhancement requests in late 2022 to update the CalSAWS solution. And we actually broke the work out into two phases. Now, there were some requests to try and expedite this, as there was a very immediate need identified by the counties. So we actually had the opportunity to embrace an expedited delivery model as part of delivering these enhancements. So if we can move to the next slide. So really quick, I just wanted to touch on that expedited approach. So basically what we did is we convened a work group from the task management committee. So basically there were like committee sponsors of this particular enhancement. And the idea was the subset of committee members Instead of reviewing task management updates after the SCR was designed, they would actually be engaged through the duration of the design and development process, providing feedback along the way. Hopefully the idea was we would be able to be better in tune with what the county's needs were, along with it would give us an opportunity to really embrace and expedite the design approach by soliciting that feedback earlier in the process. So what we basically did is we were meeting with them weekly. We empowered that work group to enable us to build off their approval. Again, we would still be leveraging the committee process for final approval and then making sure that we were following the other governance processes, but it was allowing us to expedite changes and allow us to demonstrate changes as we were building them along the way. Then as we were demonstrating these changes, what we would basically do is we would demonstrate those to the counties or to, sorry, the work group, or even at times the committee, and we were able to identify additional changes along the way. Now, one of the key things that allowed us to do this is we took a very large CERs and we broke them up into small independent modules that we could work on. So we could work on one component at a time in designing it and then get that into the delivery process while we began designing the next portion of it. And this allowed us to work in a more iterative, expedited manner for these changes. We also had multiple teams working on this because since we were breaking it up, we were allowed to work on things in tandem. So we had reports changes going on in one stream, as well as online pages changes going on into a separate stream. And any of these changes were delivered using leveraging our release when ready process. We're able to get those out into production faster. So we can move this on to the next slide. So we actually broke the work down into 4 releases, with our first release being actually in March of this year. That was adding some additional automated actions to help identify expedited service and immediate need case. Again, coming from county feedback that we needed an ability to better identify these applications to help get them into the process faster. Our second release added some functionality to allow some time tracking of tasks. Our third release, which went in late May, was our first iteration of updating the task management dashboard. And then our final release, which actually just went in last week, we did some enhancements to get next prioritization. We actually enhanced the homepage to have some additional information on it to help workers expedite their working of tasks. And we also did a second iteration of enhancements to the task management dashboard. So go ahead and walk through the changes. So yeah, I just wanted to dive into some of these changes and give you guys a little brief preview of some of the things that have gone into the system. Again, the first one that went in March, which is our first release, was it was related to adding automated actions that would allow counties to better identify cases that were potentially entitled to expedited services, as well as programs that were flagged as being pending immediate need. Again, the idea is counties can turn on these automated actions and it would allow them to expedite the processing through the intake flow and business process. Can we go to the next slide? The next one that we added was related to time tracking of tasks. So there's been a big need for counties from a management perspective to better understand how long it is taking workers to do certain tasks. And really the goal of these metrics is to make sure that the county is better able to distribute tasks out to their workers from the sense of not looking at capacity simply on the volume of tasks that are being assigned, but again, treating tasks more based on the duration of time that it takes workers to do that. In order to enable that, what we need is build some sort of data around how long truly is it taking a worker from doing a task, say processing an RE versus updating an address. And it's apples and oranges. And this gives us the ability to really track the metrics on how long it's taking to do things and provide that back to management so you can better align your task distribution to your staff. Now, this is a configurable item. Counties can opt into using this through the task settings page. If counties do opt into it, then what they'll see on their workers will see a series of buttons on their task detail page to allow them to indicate when they're starting to actually do the work. It will auto pause the work when they're not working it. And then when they go back in and resume or complete tasks, it will stop that clock. So again, we're starting to build those metrics to really better understand how long certain activities are taking in a county. Next slide, please. We also added some additional updates, as I said, to the homepage. This one also went in late May, where there is actually a widget on the homepage for task management, where we will highlight any sort of overdue tasks. So tasks that workers have not completed by their due date. It will identify those tasks and bring them front and center to them, as well as any things that are more immediately upcoming so they can help prioritize the work. Again, this has really helped workers, or is aimed at helping workers trying to identify more urgent things that they need to begin working on. Next slide, please. The next one, which was one of the updates that went in last week, was related to Get Next prioritization. So this is a process of how we distribute work to workers, where instead of pushing work out, all this work is put into a pool and workers click a Get Next button and it serves up the work to the worker. Now, there was a very rigid set of how it prioritized distributing that work out, looking at the priority of the tasks in there, the age of the tasks in there. Counties wanted a way to override that base set of rules and allow their supervisors to say, hey, I would like this set of workers to be able to prioritize this specific set of tasks and Get Next, not taking into consideration the way that the overall prioritization works. Maybe I've got a backlog of address updates that are just accumulating, and I want to have one or two clerical staff go in and prioritize that work when they're clicking Get Next. This will allow the counties to go through and take specific types of work that are in our task banks and align it to specific workers, and allow the county to derive how work is prioritized coming out of Get Next. The next one. And then this was our phase one on the dashboards. So there were a bunch of updates to our task management dashboards. Again, there was broken into 2 SCRs. The first one we had, which was adding new widgets for task banks. We were adding new case listings to track task banks and the tasks that were in task banks, and updated the columns on those case listings. Again, I think that was more focused on a better understanding of the work that's in task banks, giving administration and counties a better ability to understand how work was flowing out of there, and really giving that Get Next and bank-based workload more better insight and metrics around those. The next one, which again just went in last week, those were enhancements in our dashboards where we added some more expedited service and immediate need indicators. We added additional filtering so you can look at tasks by day, week, month, over various organization levels. We provided additional counts of tasks and statuses by day, so you can look things that were open on a day, closed by a day. We provided counts of tasks completed before the due date and counts of tasks completed after the due date. We also enabled side-by-side comparisons, so we could look at particular offices and see how they were performing versus other offices and at other worker various levels. And then we provided, again, transaction times on tasks. So again, circling back onto getting those metrics on how long it takes a worker to do a task. This is going to provide your administration insight into that, so you can, again, better learn how to distribute tasks going into the future. So going into our next phase, so phase 2, which we'll be doing next year, there's a couple of different updates that are coming. We're going to be consolidating our work list pages into our task pop-up pages. We also will be going and through and making some additional configuration, or making task categories configurable. It will no longer be a static list. Counties will be able to customize that. And then we're also going to be working on some appointment and application task routing. So taking in certain areas, taking in worker schedule into our task routing. That is something that's going to be coming in phase 2. As well as that, I also, there were a number of other additional enhancements that have come out from this more user-centric approach that we took, and as well as having this feedback loop. As we've demonstrated tasks to counties, as we've been working with counties more, we've actually had an opportunity to really learn what are some areas where we can improve, either things that we've already implemented or areas where counties are just doing business a little bit differently, and we need to account for that in our task management solution. So we do have some additional SCRs that we've logged. One is a second phase of task time tracking, so looking for ways to automate the starting of tasks, things like that. Another one is enhancing the clearance task to include additional information. So when your clerical staff are getting new applications in, say from Benefits Cal, adding certain data elements onto the task detail page to help better indicate, the program that it's for, maybe where it's coming in for, if it's related to an expedited service or immediate need application, giving you more ways to prioritize tasks from those clearance tasks. We're also going to additionally have, more task settings for GetNets and task bank selections. We're also going to allow configurable language prioritization on GetNext. And the final one is we're going to, which is actually going to be coming out fairly soon. I think we just finalized this on committee, is we're going to make some enhancements around the intake task, opening up a little bit, allowing you to do things like add a resulting task on. So maybe after intake, if you want to do a follow-up meds check that's automatically triggered after that intake task close, you'll now be able to do that, as well as we're making the auto closure of the intake task configurable. And those are actually direct feedback that we've received from counties as we've been out working with counties on task management. Next slide, please. So really for our team, this change has been more than just about task management. It's really been an opportunity for us to challenge the status quo and really embrace an expedited delivery model. We really have some concrete points here where we were able to take from conception to delivery. We're starting to able to add value to the clients with in less than 3 months, really within 2 months, we were starting to deliver changes, which is pretty extraordinary for us in CalSAS. Not only were we able to do that, we were able to do that within the established framework of CalSAS. Overall, we were actually able to deliver with a small team over around 4,500 hours worth of work within a 6-month time frame. It allowed us to engage the committee members throughout the design and implementation process. That was really key for us because it really made it a more collaborative environment and led to more engagement from all sides. And it really, by allowing these committee sponsors to participate in the design process, it really gave us a better overall product at the end, and allowed the counties to really stand behind the work that they've actually helped design. It allowed us to solicit feedback from the users along the way. So we were able to get feedback from committee, work group, as well as, when we're out visiting counties, which we've allowed to integrate that feedback along the way. And it really outlined a process for continuous improvement. We've had the opportunity to refine the functionality along the way based on real world feedback, as well as aligned to different ways that county business process is evolving over time. So overall, the team has been very pleased with the result, and we, again, look forward to continuing to refine the task management solution to align with how county's business process continues to change, allowing them to better serve their customers out in the counties. So with that, thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide this update today. And go to the next topic.
And I think, Michael, that ends off our release and policy updates.
Yeah, that was a lot of packed topics. So there might be some questions or comments from the board members. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. I see Marla has her hand up.
Thank you, Michael. I think Contra Costa County, we were one of the counties that really was looking for some improvements in task management. So I just want to say that this is really great, the expansive improvements that you've been able to make and how quickly you were able to do that. So just expressing my appreciation and gratitude for the responsiveness there and for the really good upgrades and the commitment to ongoing work. Thank you.
Thanks, Marla. I also want to second that kind of look at it more like workload management. I think, Jason, that's what you originally labeled it as. So we may be moving it forward looking like that because it's a little broader than task. It's really about how we manage these things, whether they're duties, tasks, responsibilities in the system. And the further we can kind of make progress on the reporting, ways to look at data differently, to enable the workers and their supervisors to work together and really servicing the public in a more effective and efficient manner. That's what this was really about. And I think we're off to a good start. I want to thank you because you have been the champion on that. And this is something I think that really is helped LA County quite a bit. And I believe it's helping a lot of other counties. We've had a lot of dialogue on not having to go out and find another system to do something that's so core and in the competence of what our case management system is about. So thanks in that area. I wanted to open up for anybody else who has comments or feedback on any of the other areas that were presented or this area here.
Gilbert has a question.
Yeah, Michael, this is Gilbert. I
can't see you in the room.
Yeah, sorry. So I have I want to go back to slide 67 or 8. I noticed that my slides are off a little bit from the official slide deck. Kind of going back to the renewals. And this is something that was brought up in my county, but I'm assuming it's true for the other counties as well. And the importance of the discontinuances and how many are actually being discontinued. I was asked, like, so with the renewals, how many got discontinued for no renewals? And so I was told about a report on our dashboards, the e-hit report on the dashboards, but it's showing 0 discontinues. But if Medi-Cal disc batch ran on the 17th, shouldn't discontinues show by now? And nobody could give me an answer. And so someone was going, my POC was going to ask some questions, but I just wasn't sure if anybody in the room might have an answer instead.
I'll take that one back. So you're looking at the e-hit dashboard and you had for the June renewal month.
Showing 0.
Okay.
I think now that I think about it, she said that the number was correct, 0. And I said, well, we can't have 0 because Medi-Cal discontinued batch ran. And I know we had like thousands of application pack or RE packets that had not been returned yet. So that number can't be right. So I think she was still working with the person she was working with to try to get the answer. But I think the response that she had got when we originally asked is that, well, that number is right. So then when does it change from 0 or something? Because we just want to get a feel for it. We work with our managed care providers. They're asking questions. They want to know. People are curious. I mean, everybody's curious, and we want to be able to do what we can do to help mitigate that. And so we need to know what the number we're working with. And so I was just curious about that.
So we'll take that as an action item. We'll follow up offline on the specific question and work with you, and then we'll loop back to the board at the July meeting to make sure that gets out.
Yeah, and if anything needs updating or communication to the counties, we have channels to do that, John, even before the next meeting, because that what Gilbert's bringing up will obviously be universal. I doubt it's San Bernardino specific, and maybe it has to do with what the e-hit dashboard represents versus what might be interpreted. So we would certainly want to know what the response is on that too. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll work with San Bernardino specifically on that. Know that it does impact all counties and everybody wants that information, and we'll get it out as quickly as possible, and we'll loop back around to the board next month just to close that out or continue the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then my second question, kind of staying on the Medi-Cal renewal topic, something was brought to my attention, and again, it affects all of us, but it was brought to my attention in San Bernardino, and it has to do with an SCR regarding the MC355s, and I guess what the issue is that that there's a process that we're supposed to do when a packet comes in and it's not complete, and a date that we're supposed to put on the MC355. But the way it is set up in CalSAWS right now, we can't put a date other than a date forward, like today's date or a date forward. But I guess that there's some instruction in our interpretation that there may be a date that would require it to go backwards. The example that was given, like for the June REs, that the packets were sent out on April 10th, and 60 days from April 10th would have been June 10th. And so the packet was due on June 10th. And so if it was incomplete, we're supposed to put June 10th on it. like if we're doing this on June 11th or June 12th, the CalSAWS would not let us do it. And so there's really no workaround because there's no 355 template. There's nothing you can really do about it. And so when this was brought up, it was pointed out that SCR was in the system, and it's SCR. Sorry, SCR 221186, but it's not even been prioritized yet. It's not even been given a date yet. It's so it has to do with some instructions that came out in December. The SCR was created, but it hasn't even been prioritized yet. So this has been a known issue for almost 6 months, and it hasn't even made it to the priority list yet. So I may not have all the details, or I may not be communicating clearly all the details of what I understanding the issue to be, but this was brought up, and I'm not sure exactly where it's at. I know that there's processes built in for committees and everything to escalate it, but when it was brought to my attention, this was something that seemed to be like, this is going to directly impact our ability to appropriately process renewals. So this, I thought, might need to be escalated quicker than just the normal process.
You got to jump on it and let people know where it's at. Thank you, Gilbert.
Thanks, Gilbert. Any other comments or questions from our board members or state partners? Okay, any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll thank the presenters and we'll go ahead and move on to the next presentation, which I think is a focus on Benefits Cal.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Perfect. Thank you so much. So today we would like to start our Benefits Cal updates with highlights from the help materials available for customers. As we collectively moving forward to 58 counties, providing up-to-date instructions and help materials to customers continues to be a priority. And with that objective in mind, there are two updates I would like to share with you today. The first one is about the Benefits Cal YouTube channel. There is a Benefits Cal YouTube channel with a series of how-to videos to instruct customers and the CBOs on specific topics. And recently we completed improvements, including 3 new YouTube videos around verification of benefits, support requests, and the two-way messaging and the actions features. Also, we revise and refresh the existing YouTube video tutorials available in the YouTube channel, the Benefits Cal YouTube channel, for the CBO dashboard, customer dashboard overview, and how to upload a document to reflect the latest functionality. This is important because there's like a monthly improvements getting into the system, and keeping these YouTube videos up to date to provide the customers and the CBOs most up-to-date information for the instructions is important. So those are available in the YouTube channel right now. That is completed. The second item is regarding the Help Center and the new global search feature coming up, which was a priority by our collaboration model stakeholders as well. With this global search feature, which will be added to Benefits Cal this summer in end of July, or it will be available for customers in August. This will allow customers to perform a keyword search in the Benefits Cal through the help. So it will go to scan through the all help resources instead of customers or CBOs going through the help center manually or clicking the FAQs or the specific sections, etc. So it will save them time if they have a keyword in mind that they are looking for. So this improvement, as I mentioned, is going to be available for customers and the CBOs by end of July and early August. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Next update I would like to share today is regarding the communication and the marketing campaign. In the previous JPA and the PAC meetings, we had shared an overview of the outcomes from our communication and marketing campaign completed last year in September 2022, which we call it also phase 1. And during that update, you may remember we also said that phase 2 is coming this year, right? So I'm happy to share that the phase 2 activities has recently kicked off with the target completion date of this September 2023. And the overall objective for this marketing campaign, communications and the marketing campaign, is increasing the awareness for customers with the features available online, as well as simplifying the access to services for customers through the increased adoption and the usage of the system. So with keeping these objectives in mind, phase 2 activities has started with the stakeholders involvement, including the counties, the state partners, advocate partners, CWDA, and collecting inputs and the feedback at the moment for the planning items, and which will continue throughout the summer until we complete this activity later this year. If you can move on to the next slide, please. So from this campaign standpoint, if we want to take a look at the timeline and the overview, as I mentioned, we just kicked off with a survey to our stakeholders to analyze and provide inputs and updates for the candidate campaigns items. And so once it is finalized, we are going to move towards the drafting and crafting the materials for the selected items. And for the approved and selected items, they will be going through the translations process for the threshold languages. And at the end, once everything is complete and approved, the distribution is going to finalize the campaign. The distribution meaning could be if emails, SMSs, or there is a hard copy materials, finalizing those brochures, etc. This is the overall timeline. As I mentioned, we are very excited to kicking off this activity, and we will keeping you up to date as we may make progress this summer. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Next item I would like to share an update is about the collaboration model. Collaboration model is a very key, which serves an important stakeholder group to prioritize system improvements. Since we are halfway through the calendar year 2023, this slide kind of outlines the completed improvements as well as the user-centered design components prioritized by the collaboration model stakeholders earlier. But this list excludes the policy items or production priorities or the technical updates we have completed. This is just purely what has been prioritized by the collaboration model and completed within this calendar year 2023. There's I think 8 items listed as an enhancement. There is also 4 items as you see the research we completed, which is going to go through the implementation lifecycle as we move forward. And collaboration model, we completed 3 quarterly meetings this year. First one was in early January, March, and the June one was last week. And as group continues to work together, the items that are prioritized by the stakeholders, we are going to continue to perform these UCD design activities and want to complete the implementation going forward. We just wanted to share this update as we are halfway through the calendar year right now. All right, next item, I think I will be handing off to Rachel for the release of information update.
Thanks, Owner. So when we last met last month, I'll say a highly anticipated and much desirable set of features that were going to be introduced, not just into Benefits Cal, but also into CalSAWS that would allow counties to be able to access additional information that pertains to an individual's case through the implementation of something referred to as the release of information. We received feedback in the last board meeting that there had been concerns expressed around a number of areas, ranging from county operations to understanding implications around county responsibility and liability for sharing the information, as well as just making sure that the information was inherently protected and secure. So there were questions around the overall privacy and security related considerations that needed to be in place within each of the respective counties. We started off ROI with draft policy, and that draft policy had become final after we had completed the development and the testing related activities, which is, I would say, not the normal of the way that we would approach. This was an exception given the fact that it was highly anticipated and something that was identified as a critical item that was requested to be included. Resulting from that meeting, We did hear from the board and also from the PSC that they would like to have a group of individuals that would take back some of the considerations that were expressed and form a set of work groups that would look at the policy clarifications and changes that might be needed, to look at the operations, to look at the security related items. So we are currently in the process of having the topics reviewed. They are still being evaluated. They are going to be evaluated by state partners with input from the advocate co-leads. And then once that takes place, we will have the participants identified for each of the work groups, and then the work groups would end up convening. So John, I don't know if you want to add anything on the status, but that's where we are right now with the release of information.
I think the one thing is, I'm not sure if it's going to be work groups plural or work group singular.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to see that. Again, most of the topics are more policy related. So that's why it's with our state partners to review those policy and liability type of items. We know that we do have to share that with our advocate co-leads to get feedback from them and then create, I would say, the work group, but it may be multiple, but hopefully we can keep it to a singular work group. So those very important key critical items can be ironed out and really keep it to those topics. So then from that, we could say what automation enhancements would be necessary in order to go forward with some type of release of information. We know there was a lot of ambiguity around that created risk and concern that I think everybody pretty much concurred on, and that those topics need to be run to ground prior to release of information going forward. So it remains on hold, but that work doesn't remain on hold. Right now, the topical list is with our state partners to provide feedback. Then we are going to our advocate co-leads to get that feedback. But we are going to be coming back to our board and our project steering committee and giving you an update each and every month on where we stand with this. Okay, let's next slide. That's it.
Michael. Yeah.
Michael, we are done with the benefit scale update.
Getting slow at getting off a mic or getting back on mic. Great. Any questions or comments from the board members on this presentation? I know it was an extensive conversation last board meeting, and I think we have a good roadmap and where we're headed on it now. I feel much better about it, but I want to open it up for any comments or questions from our board members or state partners. Okay, must have been crystal clear. Any public comment?
Hi, this is Jennifer from the Advocates Group. Thanks for this update, and we look forward to participating in the work group and moving this forward as quickly as possible. I just want to reiterate again that the CBOs that assist people are unable to help them in the ways that they have historically because of the lack of access to client information that was previously available in other systems. We are seeing massive loss of benefits for people, and CBOs are unable to help them. This issue is extremely important. I'm not sure why there wasn't more information conveyed to counties along the way as this process was being collaboratively developed with the state and advocates and CalSAs. I just want to urge again that this issue needs to be resolved as quickly as possible. It's been a month. We still haven't had a meeting of the work group. And CBOs have state and federal funding that they're not able to meet because their access to information is no longer available. So I just want to convey again how much we appreciate this process and the urgency to have these questions addressed so we can move things forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. We do take it seriously, and we really are wanting to get this right. I think I saw Ryan Gillette's hand up.
Yeah,
Right.
Hi, thanks. This is Ryan Gillette with the Department of Social Services. Just want to echo the comments there that we understand this is important. The state has been working internally to make sure we're fully understanding what the challenges are, where the gaps are in policy. So we've been in regular communication with DHCS to resolve, just to get aligned on that. And I know that we need to get together as a group then to understand how to move forward on this. So appreciate you raising this, Jen, and to the rest of the CalSAWS team. We are working on this, so eager to solve this soon.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other comments? All right, we're committed to doing the right thing here and moving as quickly as possible. Thank you. Then I think we move on to the next update. I believe that's our DEI initiatives.
Yeah, every membership meeting, the board's asked us to come back to the membership, give us an update on our DEI activities, which we call IDEA here at CalSAWS. So the team has prepared a video update. So roll video.
Hello. Right now,
This is the wrong video.
Of the CalSAWS worker facing virtual assistant. This virtual assistant can be accessed.
This one looks like that's your next video. So you got a sneak peek. You know, the previews are always good when you go to the movies, but we will start with our feature on DEI.
Hey, John, my apologies, but I didn't have that video. I didn't see that one. So we might have to move forward and maybe come back to that.
That would be fine. So Michael, if we can go to 17 and we'll come back on 16.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Agenda item 17 is one of the newer features that has been implemented in CalSAWS as a virtual assistant. We think that this is a really important item to make CalSAWS more user-friendly to the folks that are using it and have things readily available. So for our new migration counties, as well as change gets implemented to the system through our various releases. So we wanted to give just a very quick demonstration of that functionality and give you all as directors sort of an overview of that. We know that a virtual assistant is cool, but it's only as good as the materials that we feed it. If you don't feed it materials, it isn't going to be any good. So we're going to be modifying our M&E processes. So as we're looking at system changes, that we can continue to feed content into the virtual assistant so it stays relevant. We want people to know about this. We know that there's a significant amount of staff turnover, and this is going to be more and more important. So it's probably going to take up some of our M&O and M&E budget as we go forward. But it's only as good if people use it and the project feeds it content. So we wanted to keep this at the forefront. So let's run the virtual assistant demo.
Thanks, John, and nice to see everyone today. We'll just do a quick, before we jump into the demo, although everyone's off speak already, we'll do a quick summary of kind of where we're at and talk about that continuous improvement.
Right now, I will be taking you through a demonstration of the.
Regina, I am so sorry. I probably queued it up and took about half of your talking points. So let's hold the video and let Regina go through probably a few of the slides that I just went and did about half the content for.
We can just jump back to the slides. A little bit more context on kind of where we've come and where we're going with this tool, and talk about some of that, and then we'll jump into the main event, which is the demo. All right, so this started as a pilot actually with San Diego County, and that was back over 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, in 2021. So we successfully kicked that off, and we worked with San Diego County to develop specific use cases around things that were important to the workers in San Diego. And through that pilot, we saw this was successful. So we scaled it to all of CalSAWS, as John mentioned. launched back in February 2023, months ago. And over the last couple of months, we've been, use an agile term, literally sprinting to release new content on a bi-weekly basis. So for various different programs and mostly based on a lot of the content that you're seeing from users. So whenever someone clicks that chat icon, and you'll see the video on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and asks a question. If it's something that we don't have an answer for, we take that question and we analyze it, we look at it, we see, okay, what can we add to make this more useful? And we have been using all of that feedback getting from all the county users. So we're actually now switching to a monthly content release updates. We have a lot, over 200 users so far. We'll continue, as John mentioned, to enhance and release new content on an ongoing basis for next year, and beyond. So with that, I'll turn it over to the demo video and then to my colleague Sarah to talk about a little bit more.
Hello. Right now, I will be taking you through a demonstration of the CalSAWS worker-facing virtual assistant. This virtual assistant can be accessed by CalSAWS users to get information about functionalities within the CalSAWS system. This demonstration will show you how to navigate the virtual assistant and highlight some of its key features. I am currently logged into a test environment that is nearly identical to the production environment and will be showing you how I would use the virtual assistant if I was a CalSAWS eligibility worker. To access the virtual assistant, click the chat icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the CalSAWS portal. The virtual assistant may also be accessed from any of the CalSAWS main system pages. Clicking the icon will open the virtual assistant and display a welcome message along with menu options for the programs that it currently supports. Users may navigate through the virtual assistant in two different ways. The first method is by clicking through the button options to access the information that you are looking for. As an example, let's say I want information on the Medi-Cal redetermination process. I would click Medi-Cal, and I would scroll through the options until I find redetermination process. Upon clicking the button, the user will find information about redeterminations, along with buttons for additional information. Clicking these will take me to a resource in a new tab. Another way of navigating the virtual assistant is by typing a keyword or phrase into the text box. As an example, let's say I want to know about EDBC. I would type EDBC into the text box at the bottom corner of the virtual assistant window and either click the enter icon and the virtual assistant responds with some information about EDBC, and I can choose which one I have a question about. Let's say I wanted to know how to troubleshoot relationships. And here we'll see the virtual assistant responds with information and additional resources. There are currently over 200 different predefined questions and answers in the virtual assistant. And we plan to continue updating the virtual assistant every month with more information for the next couple of months. Receiving feedback is something that is very important for the development of this virtual assistant. The feedback is accessible to the virtual assistant team, who can go through the entries and find recommendations for new content or new functionality. There are two ways to give feedback. The first is the Give Feedback button located in the main menu. Clicking this button will send the users a feedback survey with faces so they can choose how their experience was. I had a great experience, so I'm going to click the green smiley face. The virtual assistant offers you to enter some more information, and you can click submit. The second way to give feedback is through the All Questions library. Clicking this button will take users to a list of all the questions that the virtual assistant is able to answer. I can scroll through this list of questions to find the information I want. Or I can type a keyword into this keyword box and it will narrow the search. If you are unable to find your question, you can click the I cannot find my question button. Here, the virtual assistant prompts you to enter a question that you are wondering. And you can click submit. As you can see, the content is constantly being updated based on user feedback. That concludes the demonstration of the CalSAWS virtual assistant. Thank you for listening.
You're on mute, John.
We'll get back to the slides and content associated with the virtual assistant. We have anything else on that?
There are a couple more.
Thank you very much. A couple more slides on the virtual assistant. Jen, get to the slides on VA. And the next.
Welcome to the CalSAWS Idea Update. Today, we'll highlight the impactful progress made by the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity Advancement Team since January. At IDEA, we're on a mission to weave diversity, equity, and inclusion into CalSAWS culture. We believe that when employees feel
Once again, our apologies on sort of our technical handoffs here. We're having a little bit of a challenge, but we will go back, and on virtual assistant, we have a couple more slides to go through.
Thank you. Yes, hi everyone. My name's Sarah. I am the functional lead for the virtual assistant team. I'll start over a little bit. I heard maybe audio wasn't great on that first slide. We can stay on this slide though. I just wanted to mention that yes, we're making this virtual assistant. As we've said many times, the feedback is really key. And the team goes through the message logs, and it's really the most critical part for sourcing content to find out, what do county users, the folks using the virtual assistant, the workers, what are they asking? What do they need help with? And how can we fill those gaps for them? So here on this slide, I have some just a high level overview of items already in the virtual assistant that you could go ask it now. And then stuff we have on the horizon that we do know we get a lot of different questions about that we're trying to add into the virtual assistant soon. So the list here, I won't read them all, but I know, income, magi, we did just add a discontinuances submenu, which I heard earlier. And so we're constantly adding content. And so the more that the virtual assistant gets used, the better we can customize the content to what users actually need. So if you go in and you ask it a question now, maybe it doesn't have the answer, but it very well could in the near future, and that we'll be able to use more questions that you're asking to create that content. So I want to encourage you, if you use it and maybe you're unsatisfied with the answer, don't give up on the virtual assistant. We're reading it through everything, and we really want it to be a tool to help the workers. So going forward on these slides, we have one more. I'll quickly run through this. These are some metrics that we have for the virtual assistant. The main emphasis on this slide really is since launch, which was just in late February of this year, we've had at this point now over 120,000 total messages sent to the virtual assistant. It's getting a lot of use, and that's excellent because we're able to use that to make it better. I also want to highlight this response rate graph in the bottom left corner. Response rate really indicates how many questions that the virtual assistant receives does it have a response for. And so we're tracking this. It looks very up and down, but it is zoomed in on that y-axis. So it is sort of a false spikes and valleys there. but the general trend is upward, which is what we're tracking. And actually this week we had our highest value of 88.5% for the response rate. So we're continuing to track that and it is increasing. And then I'll also highlight another metric in that key performance metrics box. We have 221 use cases currently in the virtual assistant. And as we've mentioned, that number will continue to grow as the virtual assistant gets smarter. All right, that is it for virtual assistant. It sounds like we had something related to the DEIs to go to next and watch that lovely video.
Yeah, we'll wait on the video. Wait. Thank you, Sarah. Michael, this concludes the demonstration and the review of the virtual assistant. So we'll turn it back to you to see if there's any comments or questions.
Okay, thank you, John. As you guys know, I'm very passionate and very interested in this area because I think it really has a lot of potential for us. I know that we're building the foundation, and at least out of the gate, what it looks like is a definite improvement on what our help menus have offered in the past and really becoming more interactive. And that's a great step forward. I do want to still envision us getting into more prompted components where the applicate through different parts of when you're using CalSAWS, it actually could prompt you like where we know where people might be struggling. So, driving that from a user experience standpoint, where we get a lot of CalFresh errors made and like earn income or areas of the application where we know people struggle and we have to provide lots and lots of classroom training. Maybe there could be a focus on virtual assistant pop-ups that could happen throughout that kind of flow with triggers, as opposed to requiring a user to go in and then try to type in what they're thinking of, actually prompting. And so I just think that's somewhere we could head with this as we start to build off of it. And then I wanted to ask a kind of techno-nerdy kind of question is, is this true? Is this based off of an AI engine?
Yes, it is. It's not, what's in the news right now is Gen AI, so generative AI, and it's not quite that. So it's more like your standard AI that we've been using, but yeah, it uses a natural language processor and is based in AI.
Okay, great. And yeah, generative AI is kind of where a little bit of our heads have been pulled into. Just as we start envisioning going forward and everything, I think we might have to have a strategy around AI usage in the system, in the project to balance making sure we're not putting anything private out there that could be put into a large language model, because the large language models benefit everybody who uses them, but you definitely don't want to have to be ingesting anything that's really private and confidential. I don't see that, but I think it's something that we need to build into our strategies just to find the utility privacy balancing act on that. I want to open up to other directors and state partners on any questions or comments you might have on this presentation. I see Marla put some comments in the chat. Becky has her hand up. Thank you, Becky. What would you like to?
Michael, I really appreciate the option that the virtual assistant is providing. I agree there's security concerns as we're all looking at AI as it evolves. But I do appreciate that our CalSAWS team is keeping us on the forefront of technology, and as we move forward, using those to better our resources and access for our staff so that we can better serve our community and our clients as quickly and efficiently as possible. So I do see this as a great opportunity for us. And appreciate the work and effort that is going into this. I really appreciate the response and feedback that you're getting from staff, and just seeing it grow and evolve while maintaining that security as the forefront as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Becky. Any other comments or questions from our board members, state partners? Any public comment? Okay, I think we can start to roll the DEI. I don't know if the videos first or the presentations first.
Yep, roll video, please.
Welcome to the CalSAWS Idea Update. Today, we'll highlight the impactful progress made by the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity Advancement team since January. At IDEA, We're on a mission to weave diversity, equity, and inclusion into CalSAW's culture. We believe that when employees feel valued, engagement, productivity, and innovation thrive. By emphasizing diversity and equity, we empower underrepresented groups within our team and communities. Before we begin, we are thrilled to introduce Ashley Arnold, our newest addition to the team. Currently serving as the Consortium Training Manager for CalSAW's migration, she will be transitioning into the long-term role as the CalSAW's Consortium Training and DEI Manager. With a background in managing Sacramento County's staff development team, including induction, ongoing training, and various DEI training efforts, Ashley brings a wealth of expertise and a passionate drive to advance our mission. This video will provide an update on the Buddy program, CalSAW's Table Talks, the Burnout Initiative, employee resource groups, and culture transformation. Join us as we create positive change, build an inclusive organization, and make a lasting impact at CalSAWS. Let's take a look at the Buddy program. The Buddy program was created to encourage meaningful relationships, to provide an avenue of mentorship and support, and to empower all employees in reaching their fullest potential. Over the last 2 years, IDEA has implemented 4 6-month rounds of the Buddy program. Each round culminates in a survey to collect valuable insights on the program and how to improve it for future Buddy pairs. The first round of the Buddy program began in 2021 with 65 participants. In round 2, it grew to 68 participants, round 3 had 60 participants, and round 4 reached a remarkable 77 participants, 64% of them being new to the Buddy program. Round 4 is scheduled to close in September 2023. The CalSAW's Table Talks initiative was designed to provide a platform for sharing diverse experiences and developing genuine connections in a brave space. Since November of 2020, there have been 12 CalSAW's Table Talks. These talks often exceed 100 participants and are some of the most highly attended IDEA initiatives, joined by county and CalSAW's employees alike. In February 2023, Jamie Fubus' Table Talk shed light on Black health inequities, emphasizing the need to address social drivers of health and their impact on HIV and other health disparities in the state of California. In May 2023, we partnered with Aging Up, a nonprofit organization dedicated to mentoring youth in the foster care system. During this inspiring session, CalSAW's employees learned about the foster care system and engaged in conversation with graduates from the Aging Up program. Employees in the Sacramento region were offered volunteer opportunities to support the important work of Aging Up. We look forward to our next enriching Table Talk in July 2023. CalSAW's Table Talks are not only informative and inspiring, but they also provide avenues for personal growth and community engagement. We are excited to explore partnerships with other nonprofit organizations and hope to offer our staff volunteer opportunities to make an impact in their communities. The Burnout Initiative is focused on preventing burnout here at CalSAWS. Our evidence-based strategy revolves around 3 key pillars: promoting meaning in life, fostering psychological safety, and nurturing cognitive resources. In December, we kicked off the Inspiration Station campaign. CalSAW's members collaborated with the IDEA team to create collages reflecting their inspirations and exploring their core values, ultimately finding ways to live more meaningful lives. These remarkable collages and insights were shared with our colleagues during all staff meetings. So far, 10 enthusiastic CalSAW's members have participated in the activity, and we're thrilled to announce that it will continue to be a part of our monthly virtual all-staff meetings. We believe in listening to our teams and will continue gathering feedback through surveys and our employee resource groups. By responding to the collective needs of CalSAWS, we can create an environment that fosters well-being and resilience. Employee resource groups are integral to our commitment to equity and belonging. Our employee resource groups create a safe, supportive space for employees and offer employees personal and professional development, access to leadership, a support network, a sense of belonging and shared purpose. When employee resource groups are established, they foster an inclusive workplace, enhance the employee experience, promote cultural awareness, and improve innovation. CalSAW's leaders have stepped up to create 4 employee resource groups: Asian American Pacific Islander, Pride, Latinx, and Black ERG. Last spring, the leads from each ERG came together to form the ERG Council. United by the spirit of alignment, collaboration, and improvement, they are the driving force behind our collective progress. This year, the ERG Council embraced a renewed commitment to collaboration across ERGs. This partnership has already yielded 2 successful events: the Inspiring Women's History Month panel and a thought-provoking open conversation on colorism, hosted by Bird and Latinx ERGs. The ERG Book Club is another initiative that fosters cross-cultural awareness within CalSAWS. Members delve into captivating books about different cultures on a monthly basis, creating meaningful discussions and expanding their horizons. With each ERG hosting the featured book twice, we've already explored and discussed 8 incredible books. The future holds limitless opportunities for collaboration among our resource groups. By actively contributing to a sense of belonging, psychological safety, and shared purpose, employee resource groups will continue to shape and strengthen the DNA of CalSAW's exceptional culture. The Pulse survey was created to measure the impact of IDEA efforts across the project. These surveys serve as a powerful tool to measure our progress and identify areas for improvement on an annual basis. Our last Pulse survey showcased tremendous success, revealing notable improvements in all targeted areas. We are eagerly preparing for our next Pulse survey, scheduled to deploy in December 2023. It's an opportunity for us to gather valuable insights, track our progress, and continue our commitment to fostering an inclusive and thriving environment. At CalSAWS, our culture transformation team empowers and supports our project staff. We prioritize their well-being by providing valuable wellness information and ideas for mental and physical health. Our engaging Wellness Wednesday sessions cover diverse topics with monthly themes, fostering a culture of learning and well-being. We even integrate special events like the virtual art tour, exploring the connection between art and wellness. In celebration of National Poetry Month, our poetry contest recognizes the profound impact of this art form on well-being, encouraging creativity among our talented staff. Join us in this transformative journey where we prioritize wellness, foster creativity, and celebrate a thriving culture. Amidst the ever-evolving landscape, IDEA has made significant progress in fostering inclusivity and learning. We lead the way in creating brave spaces that honor CalSAW's diversity, enabling us to provide the best work environment and serve millions of Californians. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and together, let's continue championing inclusion, diversity, and equity for a brighter future.
You're on mute again, John.
Thank you, Michael. Hey, I'm having the same issues today.
Like I passed the cold on to you. Oh, we did that.
Hey, I want to thank our IDEA team and leaders for pulling that together. Valuing the individuals, the work that we all do is really hard work, and people have to come to work and feel valued. And our IDEA team has definitely embraced that. And our team really does nurture one another through the IDEA initiatives. So we know that the team enjoys putting these videos together, giving updates, but more importantly, enjoys really feeding their fellow employees as we go through this initiative and furthering DEI here at CalSAWS. One of the things that was stated that says our table talks are open to counties, we do open those up voluntarily if there are folks that say, hey, that's an interesting topic and want to be able to call in or Zoom in on those types of initiatives. So Michael, with that, I will turn it back to you, see if there's any comments or questions.
Thanks, John. I'm really pleased every time we kind of go through this because you guys jumped right on it when we talked about this early on, and I see it developing and growing and becoming something, sort of even steering itself inside the organization. And I know that we all believe very deeply in diversity, inclusion, and equity. And at the end of the day, it's not just a project, it's people. We're people organizations, and we have to be people centered and people driven. So I really like seeing what the DEI's group's up to and what's happening there. I know CWGA has a committee around that as well. So it's just wonderful to see the commitment around really developing our human being connections with one another, even in a technical project like this. So I want to thank you guys and continue to support you going forward, and also for county involvement and integration into this as well. I want to open it up to our other board. Whoops, somebody's Sandra, you're on mic.
I'm trying to not miss the meeting.
Okay, hot mic minute. So I want to turn it over to the other board members and state partners for any comments or questions that you guys have on that presentation. Any public comment? Okay, again, I just want my thanks to the team and to the project. We're really taking that seriously, diving in and letting it kind of grow organically. It's awesome. All right, we'll go on to the next item. And
Tom, I think you're up.
Okay, first off is we're deep in the process of the M&O procurement. We're in beautiful downtown Sacramento doing orals and key staff interviews, and that's going along very well. The procurement teams and the evaluators are working well, and we're on target. Next slide. The next thing we're doing is the benefits cal reprocurement, and that's reprocuring folks to enhance and operate and maintain our benefits cal application going forward. We had a meeting with the advocate co-leads on the 23rd of June to have them start their review of the requirements. And after they're done on July 7th, we will get those requirements over to CDSS and DHCS and OSI for their review. And that's moving along well as well. Next slide is we're on our way to buying AWS services through a different procurement vehicle. We've talked about this before. This is a procurement vehicle that's used by California Health and Human Services agencies, CDSS, DHCS, OSI, and we were a little behind schedule. We got it over for state review on June 19th, but they got back to us with comments last night, and the comments seem to be pretty straightforward, and hopefully we can pull off the expedited state and federal review. It doesn't have to be reviewed by FNS, just CMS. So that's moving along, and we're still targeting an August 18th date to get to the board for an effective date of September 1st of 2023 in order to lock in our reduced prices. So that's the procurement update. Michael?
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. So we're on schedule still? Everything is still tracking okay on your timelines?
Everything's still tracking on all the timelines. We're just asking our state and federal brethren to do an expedited review on the AWS services.
Just a small ask.
It's a big ask, but they're up to it, I'm sure.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any comments or questions from our board members, state partners on the procurement presentation? Okay, hearing none. Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we might get out of here early. So John, I think we're going to wrap up with you on the membership representatives JPA update there.
Yeah, it's Albert Benuelos yesterday, as we were going through the green light meeting, reminded me that yesterday, 4 years ago to the date, we were in downtown Sacramento at the Library Galleria with our puzzle pieces, and all 58 counties were signing the agreement and coming together 4 years ago. And at that time, That's where the contract was signed for Benefits Cal, for OCAT, and that's where our journey, it began long ago before that, but that's where it sort of came together and renamed us CalSAWS and started us going together. And here we are 4 years later, and we can see the finish line. We still have a lot of work to do. And we've had a pandemic. We've had so many things that have gone on. But we do see that we're going to be able to meet the objectives that the counties have set up, that our federal partners mandated on us, and said, you know what, we're going to embrace that and we're going to get this done. Before the pandemic, we were planning to have a conference in beautiful San Diego to get together and have a conference, a day-long conference and a half-a-day business meeting as we used to do prior to the pandemic. That has really been put on pause. We've done a lot of things virtually. We think that as we come and sort of wrap up migration, but continue on the path that we're on, we need to look back and celebrate what's been accomplished by our counties, by our state partners, by our partnership with our stakeholders and advocates and our project, and really take some time to be able to celebrate, but also plan for the future. Where are we going? So we are planning in January for our membership meeting to have that be an in-person meeting. Jennifer, my assistant, was in San Diego this week looking at venues, starting to put together budgets and things like that. But we're looking the week of January 22nd to be able to have a 2-day conference, all-day conference. Probably the best part will be an evening celebration to say we truly are one at this time. At that time, CalWin will join C4 in being retired, and LRS has been fully transitioned into CalSAWS. So we want you to put that on your calendar, because as we talked about, you know, sometimes we can get lost in what the future looks like or what the problem of the day is. But I think as people doing difficult work, sometimes we have to celebrate our accomplishments together. So we are planning this as a celebration as well as a planning event for the JPA to be able to get together. So mark your calendars, please. And with that, Michael, I'm giving you 1 minute back.
Thanks, John. That's great. I'm looking forward to that. I think that we've all, you know, really lifted a heavy lift, and we're continuing to do so together. I think this has all been done as about as good as a together movement as you can put together, can assemble. So I think it would be nice time to actually take a breather, celebrate for a few moments, and then jump right back in and tackle the year in front of us. So I'm looking forward to that. So when more information comes out, great. I hope we have a good in-person attendance on that, and that we're able to celebrate. So before we adjourn the meeting, I just want to mention, and John, if I'm wrong about this, you correct me, but next meeting is July 21st at 9 a.m. That's a Friday. So you're back on Fridays, guys. So just mark your calendars accordingly, and thank you, or get you out of here 10 seconds ahead of 12. So
two things, Michael.
Oh yeah, go ahead, John.
We have a PSC meeting that starts in 15 minutes to elect the co-chairs for the coming year. That's the only agenda item. And everybody stay tuned to your email over the weekend. We have 4 counties that are going live, and today is their last production day in CalWin. And Monday we go from 48 to 52. So stay tuned.
Wave four. All right. Thank you, John, for those parting comments. So we'll all put good vibes out into the air and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you, folks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.